Why don't more infant formula companies use organic, grass-fed whole milk instead of skim? Why don't more infant formula companies use the latest breast milk science? Why don't more infant formula companies run their own clinical trials? Why don't more infant formula companies use more of the proteins found in breast milk? Why don't more infant formula companies have their own factories instead of outsourcing their manufacturing? We wondered the same thing. So we made ByHeart, a better formula for formula. Learn more at byheart.com.
Hello, it is Ryan, and we could all use an extra bright spot in our day, couldn't we? Just to make up for things like sitting in traffic, doing the dishes, counting your steps, you know, all the mundane stuff. That is why I'm such a big fan of Chumba Casino. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere with daily bonuses. That should brighten your day a little. Actually, a lot. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. That's ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
If you really like this episode, please support our podcast by going to patreon.com/truecrimewives and get lots of great extras. On the Good Wife's Guide to True Crime, we discuss crimes that some may find disturbing. Listener discretion is advised.
I'm sorry for it. I feel bad for it. It just feels good to be honest.
And I want to start off with saying things are not always as they appear.
This is actually kind of the first time I've been honest. Besides being honest, with my attorneys. Even that, I haven't been completely honest with them.
Hey folks, it's time to grab your glass of wine because the Good Wives, Fancy, Colleen, and Christina, are about to serve up another true crime case. Pretty wild journey through these last 12 episodes. We've covered everything from start to finish, and tonight is a little different. Tonight we're going to go past the murder, past the trials, and we're really going to talk about where these individuals are today in terms of not location, but where they are mentally and physically and relationship-wise, and things that have happened since all of this, kind of came to a head and they moved on. It starts off, we're going to start off in the time period of our involvement, which was a little over 3 years ago, and how we got involved and basically kind of what we've gone through, what we've seen, what we've witnessed since all of this, and really kind of where we're at present day.
And about our feelings in terms of where they are now, not just about what has happened with the murder, but about them currently, not just them, but also the family, and then how it's been for us to make this series, do this podcast, communicate with people, and really wrap this up for all of you so you can really see what the journey has been now. Not saying that the journey is over. Journey is far from over, but bring you current.
Yeah, it's I could say it's a very different feeling than where we were 3 years ago when we all got involved. Um, and Colleen and Christina have been with me for about a year now. And I'm sure for them it's very different from where they started off. We all started off in a very positive place with this case, this series, this everything. And I'll be honest, it's been a hell of a 3 years for me. The last year, especially. The first 2 years went pretty well. I was very close with the family. I spoke with Gypsy on a regular basis. In fact, I didn't even email Gypsy until 2017. Or let's see, I'm sorry, not 2017. I didn't even email Gypsy until 2019. I had been talking with her personally on the phone at least once or twice a week up until then. And things went awry in 2019 with that relationship. And it really began when other outside forces started entering into her life, from Facebook admins to a fiance, and then the relationship and dynamic with her father and her stepmother. All of that began to really change, and it changed with me as well. And so you're going to hear a lot about all of that, especially this last year. But 2 years ago, I was ecstatic to be working on this case. And now it is one of those things that I look back and think, was it worth it? Because it was a hell of a ride and not a great one at that.
This episode's going to have a lot of emotion in it for all of us guys.
Yeah.
So do not feel like we're yelling at you. We might be very vocal on feelings and having a lot of anger, frustration, crying, upset, sad, disappointed, the whole spectrums of emotion here. And that is not directed out at any of you guys. It's just how our feelings are really coming out here to tell you what's been going on.
For me, from the beginning, when people say like it's been a roller coaster, it's been kind of like a roller coaster, but a roller coaster where you start out really, really high and then it's just a steep drop and it's just downhill from there. Like when I came onto the team, it was 100% support for Gypsy and her family. And as time went on, I defended them, I defended Gypsy. And for me, the turning point was the interrogation video, and it was just all downhill from there. And now I've learned that with Gypsy, I have to compartmentalize my feelings. There's the Gypsy that was the victim, and there's Gypsy, the grown woman, who is no longer a victim and is still doing, I don't even know how to explain Gypsy. Like, I really don't even know how to explain her, but it's a complete difference from what people see in the documentaries, from what's portrayed, like in the act. She's a completely different person now, and I blame her mother for everything. But at some point, you become an adult and you become responsible for your own behavior and your own actions. And she's shown time and time again that she needs a lot of help, and there really hasn't been much change in Gypsy.
Yeah, and for me, it, like you said, Christina, it went down and down and down. We started at such a high level. I came onto this thinking, oh, we're going to do such amazing things. This is going to be such an amazing story. It's going to change the world. It's going to change MVP. We can do all this stuff. And at this point, I'm like, I don't think so. There's many other stories out there that we will use to do that and convey that and help bring light and truth to this disorder. This is not one of those stories. People have asked us where we're at with things now, and I can honestly say if the series were to ever get made, I don't know that any of us would even want to be involved with it, because it's just been such a crazy whirlwind for us for a long, long time.
I don't know if any of you listeners have ever been to the Wisconsin Dells. And I'm sure there's other roller coasters out there, but there's one called Hades, and it's where, like, just like a normal roller coaster, you have to go up a bunch of steps, flights of stairs to even get on the roller coaster.
Yeah.
Well, this roller coaster, you do that, and then it goes really high, and then the drop takes you underneath the parking lot.
Oh my God.
And then you come up and then back down underneath the ground. And so to me, this case started off very high. I came on as part of the medical department to bring a voice on that end with a bunch of other people. And now you're exactly right. I compartmentalize Gypsy and a lot of people in this case.
Yeah.
And it's like, for me, this ending is like if the ride had stopped in the middle of the parking lot, because we're not back at where we started. Absolutely the hell no.
It's almost like the ride broke down and now we have to walk back.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
And I don't know if I want to make that journey back.
I don't know either. I think I might just get in my car.
Yeah.
Just get out.
The pass
And like you guys said, compartmentalize is exactly it, because there is a part of me that looks at this case and says, oh wow, that poor girl, and there will always be that part. There will always be a part of me that feels that way and knows that everything is because of what happened to her. None of it is truly her fault to begin with. But it's the inability and the unwillingness to move past all of this and change who she is and realize that she needs to make this change for me. That is the hard part. You can, up until the day of the murder, you can almost feel very sorry for her. But then you see the different things and you put it all together and you realize there was a breaking point at some point far before the murder, that she was no longer a victim and she became the perpetrator in this. And now we're at a point where she could have gone on and really maybe done some good, and maybe she will, but currently she's not there. And so you have to look at Gypsy, the victim, and Gypsy, the perpetrator, and then Gypsy, what is left of her, like this manipulative, very conniving person. And it's scary. It's very scary. Like we've said over and over again, Nick is consistent through this whole thing. Now, I don't know what he was like when he was a little child, because his father and others really kept us from being able to get that story from him. And by the time we got to a point that we could have investigated it further, I think we were so far away from wanting to do that anymore that we just didn't finish that part, so.
But please stay with us, guys, as we finish this up.
We still got a lot to tell you that's happening right now. So
don't go anywhere. The Good Wives will be right back. In every episode, since we're the Good Wives, we won't just be dishing true crime. We also want to serve up one of our favorite recipes. So here's the Cajun Mama Thai with this week's Tasty Delight. Hey guys, it's me, Cajun Mama Thai, coming to you from good old Louisiana. Yes, it's the last episode of the case, but we can't go without giving a good shout out to Wisconsin and the things that they are famous for. You guessed it, cheese, all kinds of cheese, ricotta, Parmesan, provolone, Swiss, cheddar, all kinds of cheeses. they are all famous for in Wisconsin. So today, with that being said, I am going to share with you the recipe, Wisconsin 5 cheese bake. But it might be a little bit more than just 5 cheese. Shh, don't tell the person who wrote this recipe.
So I was just going to say, in terms of Nick, I feel terrible for him. I think about what the little that we have learned about his early life, and I honestly believe that his life was set up so that he didn't have a chance to have a normal life. And I mean, me and Fancy have talked about this a couple times. If this was a situation where Nick got into an argument with someone and it got heated and he pulled out a gun and he shot someone and they died, I don't condone it, but I could get it. Heat of the moment, you're arguing. I could understand it and say, you know what, that doesn't define the rest of this man's life. You know, give him a chance to rehabilitate himself and to come home and be a productive citizen. With Nick, I don't think that's possible.
No.
He won't take medication because his father has taught him that medication is not good and he shouldn't be on any. So he's not going to be someone who's open to taking medication. And even if he was, the murder was so brutal. Like, I feel terrible for him, but I honestly don't believe that there's a place for Nick in normal society.
No.
I hope
especially with the continued display of what he has said in emails to others, which we're going to read here in a few minutes.
I was just going to say.
It's just like a repeat.
Yeah.
Right. He continues to say these dark, twisted, malevolent things. And he really, unless he, gets help in prison, would be able to come to terms with what he did and accept that it was wrong, accept the need for medication. And not saying the medication is the answer to everything, but in this terms of psychosis that Nick has, it is something that is needed, especially medically, not in the fact that, just give him medicated to zone him out. No, he needs to get the appropriate hormonal balance in his brain before he could even begin to process things. But there have been people that have gotten life in prison without parole for way less than what he did and is doing.
Absolutely.
And it's that Nick fell for the love, which almost kind of breaks my heart for him, is that I think he has that need for attention and the need for love and wanting to be accepted, but he has up and down feelings about it. Surprisingly, he still says that he and Gypsy are meant to be together and they're going to be together.
Right. Even after saying certain things to other people that were very similar to what he said to Gypsy. But I think it comes from a relationship with his mom. I do not think, I feel like the most telling thing about Nick was in his interrogation when he said he had never felt the love of a woman. Not romantically, not whatever, a woman, including his mom. And I really, truly believe that's where this all manifests from him. And I think that maybe it was almost of like, if I do the ultimate thing for this woman, then she'll never be able to leave me. She'll always be dependent on me and I will have exactly what I want, almost like a woman who has a baby because she doesn't feel loved by anyone else. And so she's going to have this baby because the baby's going to love her, and then the baby, it grows up and and for Dee Dee, that's a Dee Dee thing. Like Dee Dee wanted Gypsy to love her so badly, and she wanted to be loved unconditionally that she forced that unconditional love, and I feel like Nick almost did the same thing.
Lesson to all you people out there. Mother relationships, something to really, really try not to fuck up.
Right. And so we're going to read some of the different emails. So a couple months ago, we were approached by a girl. She's a woman. She's got 6 kids, 5 kids. I don't know. She's a troubled woman. She has been in and out of prison. She's been in and out of rehab. She admits that she has done, tons of drugs. She's lost her kids, got them back. She's been through hell. She's had a really checkered life. If you hear her talk about her home life as a kid, it was not good. So we ran into her on the internet. And the thing I think is really interesting about this case, I think that this was one of the very first cases that I really felt like social media played such a huge part in this case in all aspects. I hadn't really seen that before in other cases until this one. But it played out so hugely on Facebook specifically that I think people got involved that would not have otherwise gotten involved in other types. This woman met Nick, and she claims that she, when I say met, she wrote, she never actually saw him, but she basically claims that she only saw his final statement to the judge about love. She didn't follow the case before that, which how would she have found it? I don't know. And mind you, most of what this young lady says cannot be trusted. So that's why we are only recounting what we really feel like we even have an idea of could be truthful. And we're using their words between the two of them as proof of what really happened between the two of them, because that's unrefutable. These are emails that happened. They did come from JPay. And so definitely, we can prove all of that. But apparently she saw this video of Nick talking about professing love and how he did it all for love, and she thought, oh, I can relate to him. I feel the same way, and I just want to be his friend. She somehow became more than that, and eventually she got tangled up in approaching us. She basically said somebody was threatening her life because of her involvement with Nicholas, and so she came to us with a really good sob story and brought us these emails, and it kind of went from there. She was a member of our team for a long time, and she really hurt a lot of us, which is part of, the emotions that we've been through in this last year. But we do want to share some of these emails between the two of them, because we feel like it really does show, in Nick's own words yet again, exactly where he's at currently. I know that he has emails with other young ladies, and they're not as scary. I'm sure there are some women out there that have lovely conversations with him back and forth and never see the side of him. But there are several, and this is just one instance of it.
I'm going to start out with just a piece of one that I thought was really ironic considering where he is and for what. They were writing back and forth, and they would give each other a list of questions to answer. And she asked him in this one, what is the one thing that you would never do again? And you think that would be a fairly obvious answer for Nick, right? The one thing that he would never do again. But he responds, you see, back when I was 15 years old, we all go through our rebellion stage. Back then I thought that I could make it by myself, so I ran away from home. Problem is, it's winter time. Yeah, I won't do that again. I only lasted a whole day before the cops found me. By then I had my legs frozen bad enough. I couldn't feel them, and I had trouble walking due to the awkwardness of such a sensation. And yeah, my dad was not happy at all when I got home. So yeah, I won't do that again. And I'm like, really? Out of everything, Nick, that's really what you wouldn't do again? So I thought that was really interesting, where we talk about he has no regrets in terms of the murder. And this is a letter from April of 2019, where if he could go back and, if he could pick anything that he's done that he would never do again, it was running away from home at 15 years old and being out in the cold for a whole day. And I thought that really, that says a lot about how Nick, like you said, he's always been honest and consistent in terms of just saying how he feels. But to me, that says a whole lot. And then there's an email where his emails, it's just like with the text messages that we saw with Gypsy. It goes back and forth from sweet, loving, Like this one is from April 29, 2019. And some of the email is, so please take care of my beating heart, for you truly are the beholder of it. And that means you take care of it and protect it from harm. I'm trusting you with life or death for you to be the beholder of my heart. Means if you aren't careful with that vital organ, it could fall and splatter, killing me. I'm basically telling you I'm trusting you with my life, and you've got responsibility of caring for my heart's health. I'll be as close to perfect as I can get to protecting and caring for your heart if you ever do give me the chance to be the beholder of your heart. I'm ready for such a responsibility whenever you are ready to give it to me. And there's all these little heart emojis and smiley faces sprinkled in. And he goes from that sweet, romantic kind of email to...
Hello, it is Ryan, and we could all use an extra bright spot in our day, couldn't we? Just to make up for things like sitting in traffic, doing the dishes, counting your steps, you know, all the mundane stuff. That is why I'm such a big fan of Chumba Casino. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere with daily bonuses. That should brighten your day a little. Actually, a lot. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. That's ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
With Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to... Has anyone seen the bride and groom?
Sorry, we're here. We were getting lucky in the limo and we lost track of time.
No, Lucky Land Casino. With cash prizes that add up quicker than a guest registry.
In that case, I pronounce you lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Daily bonuses are waiting. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Less than a month later, May 10th, 2019, he says, Dawn, I'm starting to wonder about you. Yes, I'm starting to feel like there is more to you that you aren't telling me. What I've seen gives me reason to feel suspicious since things aren't adding up. Like two different people give me the same number that should be thousands of miles from each other. If I find out that you've been misleading me, there will be hell to pay. Not saying what I mean by that, but you won't like it. Especially because you know that's my number one pet peeve, so you know better. Well, it seems I'll find out soon enough. Solemnly, Nicholas. So he's now sounding like a little bit paranoid and a little bit insecure about things he might be hearing. And you see that little switch from the romance. And then a few days later, it goes back to more of a romantic email where he's talking about her being a truly gifted woman with a sacred heart. And he talks about himself as a benevolent man. And it just switches back and forth from this trying to be a sweet romantic guy, and these are all signed as Nicholas Godejohn or Nicholas. So he's not doing any of his alters at this time. And he switches back and forth. And we saw a lot of that with the text messages with him and Gypsy, where 1 minute it was sweet romantic talk. And the next text message, like 5 minutes later, would be like, oh, well, you're not answering. I guess you don't feel the same way about me as I feel about you. And then we get email where he's really upset with her, and this was on May 22nd, 2019, and it's all in caps, and it says, Dawn, I wasn't pissed now, but I am. First off, I understand that you didn't have your phone, but you need to see the full fucking picture, how it looks when you don't answer my calls, not just during the fucking daytime, but also during the fucking nighttime. That's much more longer for fucking hour period. So they obviously were there the whole fucking day. So it seems like Dawn had company and wasn't answering her phone.
No. Okay, so allegedly, Dawn's story is that one of the other Facebook admins that we will talk about later.
The first part of our wrap up here is going to be talking about Nick and our final feelings on him, where he is at today. I personally think that he believes maybe in his mind that he's going to get out of jail, but he is going against his own appeal process in what he is emailing to a lot of women, not just the select few who we have most of the emails, or a majority of emails of. But he comes off like a lunatic.
I mean, I think he does believe. I think he's believed the whole time that he could get off. That's why he wouldn't take the plea deal. That's why he thinks that he's going to get something. You know, he's said it, that he thinks he's going to walk out of jail at some point. I highly doubt that. I don't think that there is a whole lot of help or hope for him. I do hope, and this is where the softening towards Nick for me has come in. I hope that Nick does find peace in prison, that he does get some sort of help mentally, because I do think that, much the same as Gypsy, he was thrown away and fell through every crack. And I feel like the guy, you know, he's a troubled guy. I do think he thought maybe he was rescuing Gypsy in some way, up until the point that it actually happened. And then I believe that this force of just inside of him, this thing just took over. And not that it's a different personality, but that it's him, and that it was like something that he had suppressed for a long time, you know?
Oh, yeah, I definitely agree that I hope he finds peace. I think he is and always has been a troubled person, and that if he may have been given more help in his past as a child, as a young adult and teenager, and even as an early adult, that we would not be in this situation per se. I don't think he would be involved in this case. Yeah. But I do hope that he gets help, because I don't know if it's because of the appeal process still happening, that he's saying more than he really should and getting very emotionally involved with people.
No, I
don't really know.
I think that's just him. I think he just wants to be heard. I think he's angry that Gypsy gets all kinds of attention, good, bad, otherwise. I think it makes him mad. I think he's jealous of that. I think he doesn't understand why she is more sympathetic than he is. I think he thought that he could get away with it in the way that I think she, while putting it on him, I think he tossed it all back on her too, of, well, Gypsy's the only reason I did this. Well, that's not 100% true, buddy. You know, you could have said no at any time. I do remember Gypsy making the statement, like, I didn't hold a gun to his head, which she didn't, you know, but did she manipulate him? Absolutely. Did he manipulate her? Hell yeah. But I think that I think he thought, well, I'll just put it all on love, and I'm going to walk out of here.
Right, and he did, because even in the latest special that gave Nick an opportunity to have a little bit more of an interview process, he said, you know, if I had to do it again, I'd just do it differently. And
well, he also said that the reason he wanted to do the interviews was because Gypsy was getting all this attention, and he didn't think that was right. Which goes back to the beginning of how, you know, when I first started working on this, and I was in a lot of the groups, and then certain people came on the scene about a year ago, and I got involved in those groups. One of the things that started arguments was that I originally was not supportive of Nick, and I wasn't supportive because of anything that was actually because of Gypsy. I really wasn't supportive because I really did believe that he was just kind of a bad dude all the way around. After learning some of the circumstances of his life, I feel that maybe he could have at some point in time done something differently. I think that if his psychosis had been really taken seriously and they had kept him medicated and put him through some counseling and different things, maybe it would have been down a different path. I do think he's a pretty dark dude. I think that he was suppressing this type of anger, and it probably would have still come out in another way. But what I originally said was that he was a pretty small cog in all of this, which truthfully he still is. He is not the big fish in this whole thing, which is why Gypsy does get the attention she gets, that Dee Dee gets the attention that she gets, because the story really is their story, and he just happens to be like a supporting character in this, and if he had just, if he had walked away, he wouldn't have been a character in this at all. If he had really just took her and run, or said, I don't want to do this, then we wouldn't be here today with this conversation. So he really was a small cog in this really large story, which is why it's taken so long for us to get to this episode. Called CPS on her, and CPS was supposedly there investigating, and she could not answer her phone. And then at another time, which I'm not sure which one of these it is, it was either CPS call, or there was also a time where her daughter was in the hospital, and she actually was with her daughter, and he was demanding that she leave her daughter's side in the hospital to have a woman named Dawn. And she is who he conversed with for several months. And we're going to read some of those tonight. Christina, you want to go ahead and begin with those?
Okay, this sounds more like it would be the CPS incident, because he says they were there much longer, 4 fucking hour period. So they obviously were there the whole fucking day. Yeah. So he just goes on in that email. It's just entire email of capital letters with him cursing at her and yelling at her. Right. And then we get another serious one where he's not in all caps, but he tells her, I see that you decided to lie to me. It seems all women I try to trust lie to me. You tell me that you're going to answer the phone at night, then not bother because your other friends are more important. At least I see your true colors. All that talk about you being loyal, I would have to disagree, sadly. Well, if you can hang out with your friends, then I'm going to talk to you. I'm going to talk to mine, since it's obvious your word isn't good with its rep. I'm going to talk to you not in the morning, but when you truly want to be my best friend and stop lying to me. After that first lie, I have reason to question all you say you stand for. Do you really even want me to get out? I have reason to now question that. Now I'm back to where I was before I met you. Listen to Tear the World Down by We Are the Fallen, and you'll understand how I feel. I'm glad we weren't even 3 months into this friendship to see your real self. I stood up for you in everything that you asked to do. I still get treated like shit. I knew there had to be something dark underneath that mask, so now I see it as it really is. Talk to you when you truly care. Nicholas G. P.S. Maybe I care too much is why this lie hurt so much. With that being said, I know I'll always care, even though I question at times why I should. Remember that the next time you lie to me.
Oh, Nick. Now into June, I've got some by Nick, and how he signs them a couple different ways. But on June 10th, he sends Dawn. It seems you nor Sway, which I think is one of her
Yes, he encouraged her to have personalities just like he encouraged Gypsy.
So, it seems you nor Sway can name my personalities. Does this surprise me? No. Come on, I've been involved with the worst of women already, so I can tell if they are making stuff up. You're supposedly I'm on your side crap. I have yet to see the true as of now when it truly matters. So this has already passed the I love you thing in May. You knew I would reply, and I at one point risked my life for someone, so I'm as loyal as they come, but I feel you need to earn my trust before I really believe you like me. Oh yes, I am aware of it all, Dawn. You are lying to me. You don't have a benevolent side to you. Lie. If you were truly my twin flame spirit, you would not only match my benevolent side, which you are talking to now, but you would also be talking to the rest of me with a match to each one. And I'd be amazed if you had that many personalities to fit mine. because I've yet to run into anyone that truly does have a match for all of my personalities. Believe me, they all have been wanting to come out for so long. But as they say, in the end, good always wins. Well, I always find a way to dissuade them from coming out because no one is yet ready to understand any of them. Well, I know you'll answer me. That'll be interesting. Have a good morning, Dawn. Smiley face. Solemnly. Nicholas, Mr. Smiley, go to John. So he uses that phrase, my twin spirit.
Yeah, quite a bit.
And then 2 days, quite a bit. 2 days later is we get to a very upsetting email from Nick to Dawn. Dawn, do you really want to go another round with me? Last time you pissed me off, you thought I left you, even though I wouldn't. But it seems like it's the only way I can get through to you when I snap and hate yelling. So if you want to piss off this innate master, so be it. Then the rest now is all caps. Don't give me this bullshit about others trying to separate us, because we both know they won't be able to. So you fucking wanted to meet Nikolai. That was a fucking mistake, because now he is fucking out, you stupid fucking bitch. I have come out to make it fucking clear that I'm not fucking going anywhere. Neither is the fucking benevolent side of Nick or anyone else who is within Nick. So fucking either get it through your fucking head that we aren't going anywhere, or so help you from God, if I get my hands on you, you'll to respect me. You better get that bitch, because you had to bring out Nick's worst side of it. Nikolai has not a fucking problem with making an example out of you for not respecting me. You understand? Exclamation mark, question marks. Because I will become your hell if you don't respect me. I have had it with Nick letting you run all over him, which is running all over me. I won't fucking tolerate that one fucking bit, you stupid whore. I could waste all 6,000 characters on you going off the whole fucking time, but instead I'll reserve my energy for the next time I'm having to put you in your fucking place. Oh, and by the fucking way, now Nick is going to have fun trying to keep me from killing someone else because of your dumb ass having to bring me out and be a fucking released. Ta-ta until next time, you fucking stupid whore bitch. Nikolai.
And just so for those of you that don't know, Nikolai is who Victor supposedly morphed into after the murder. Not that happens, but that's just where we're at. So there is no longer a Victor. Now there is this Nikolai.
But so that was 11:43 a.m. But just 1 hour later, he sends her another message.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, Dawn, I already regret you meeting Nikolai, because you had to meet him when he directed the rage towards you of all people. I was trying to avoid that, and you just kept pushing me higher into anger. Then I had to snap, which brought him out. I'm sorry you had to experience him that way. And the sad thing is he really meant all he said, hon. Please, let's just try to get along, because if we continue to argue, it's only going to teach us more like what we are. Well, that polarization is there. I'm trying to get along with you while learning more about you, but it's like you enjoy arguing when I don't. I'm not smiling or frowning right now because I'm having trouble understanding why you like to argue so much. All I can say is, for a woman who says she loves me so much, you wish to argue too much. That's a turnoff for me. I guess when we talk civilly is only a time to be seen. Sighs. I was able to suppress Nikolai back into me, but it wasn't easy. This sucks. I'll talk to you later, either in the next email or so, when I can get myself back into my optimistic mood normally I'm in. Good night, sweetheart. Until then, truly, Nicholas Godejohn.
God.
So 1 hour
later.
1 hour
later.
Difference.
Yeah. Wow. Just Wow. God. I mean, and it goes on from there. Like, these messages. And people have, some people have accused her of provoking him, and purposely provoking him. And you know what? I can't say whether or not she did or she didn't, but here's what I can say. Whether she provoked him or not, those are still his scary ass words. Those are still his scary ass feelings. That's truly Nicholas speaking. And that is how he feels.
So Nick sends one more message to Dawn that I'm going to read. There's many more. And
those are in our Patreon account, all of them in their entirety, along with a couple other women that he wrote.
So he has his Nikolai personality. He's got his Mr. Smiley Nick. But then there's this other personality, which is Tarian. Is that... we know how that's...
Torin.
Mm-hmm. So he sends her a message. Hello. I had to laugh when I saw your words. If only you had a clue of the scenarios that play in my head, you would be screaming for sure right now, you slutty. In heat like a kitty bitch. LOL.
Wow.
As for Sway, LOL. Which one does daddy's little slutty whore want to bleed first? Her ass or pussy? LOL. Because after I'm done with you, this first time, you'll be a virgin turned into a slutty kitty used for my amusement. LOL. See you sluts later.
Oh my God.
Gross. I want to get him a thesaurus.
Yeah, right.
No return address label, just thesaurus.
Just a thesaurus. Yeah. Wow. That's... whew. Well, I mean, so that gives you some final words and thoughts and feelings about Mr. Smiley. I don't know what else to say.
Right. He really speaks for himself.
He sure does. He is a scary, scary dude.
Don't go anywhere. The Good Wives will be right back.
Ba-dum-ba-bum, ba-dum-bum-bum. Hey guys, it's me, Cajun Mama Ty, yes, and I am here to give you the directions on how to cook that Wisconsin 5 cheese bake. So the recipe calls for all kinds of different awesome cheeses. Mozzarella, Swiss, Parmesan, provolone, ricotta, sour cream, heavy cream, all that good stuff that, is going to make us a great mac and cheese. This is like a really you can also make it like a savory dish. You can add some, bacon to it. You can add anything you want to it, but this is the basis for the cheese bake. So you want to make sure you preheat your oven. You want to lightly grease your baking dish. Make sure it's a huge baking dish, like a 9x13. You want to go ahead and boil your macaroni until it's tender, but you don't want to make them mushy. So until, it's tender, about 6 minutes or so. In a large bowl, you want to mix together all your cheeses. You want to remove about half a cup of the topping and set it aside because that'll be for the top part of your cake. You want to stir in a separate bowl the ricotta cheese, sour cream, and heavy cream. And you want to season it. You want to put your Italian dressing, your chopped parsley, your garlic salt. Might want to add some Slap Your Mama or Tony Chachere's to that to give it a good old Cajun kick. Then you want to pour your ricotta mixture over your drained macaroni in a bowl and mix that together really well. You want to put that in your baking dish. You want to sprinkle over the cheese topping And make sure you get that last half a cup of cheese topping and pour it right on top of it. You want to put it in the oven until the cheese is melted, and usually takes about 10 minutes. Or you can put it on the broil and do it in about 5. You take it out, cool it off, and you serve it. It's the best mac and cheese I have ever eaten.
Alrighty, so we're back now. And we've been talking about Nick and our feelings and where he's at now. But now we're going to go ahead and shift over to Gypsy, which got a lot to say.
Okay, so this will be the longer portion of this episode, which if you didn't think that was possible.
But we promised this is the ending here, so you've gotten all of our thoughts and our feelings and everything. We may have the occasional update as things break, but we're not going to talk a whole lot about this case anymore. Thank God.
Whew, finally.
Okay, so let's see. Where are we going to start, guys? We're going to start off with Gypsy and Nick.
So how Gypsy feels about Nick.
So, according to Gypsy, she wants nothing to do with Nick. It was a mistake that she made. She was young, in love, and stupid. If you hear the jailer talk about their relationship in the Greene County jail, it was still, there were problems. They wrote letters back and forth on the wall to each other, and there's all kinds of crazy stuff that went on there. Nick still professes his love for Gypsy, like obsessed. So,
despite him loving many other women.
Right, despite him supposedly loving many other women, but if you hear him tell it in public, he'll tell you that he's never loved anybody like Gypsy. But then you read his emails, and clearly...
Hey guys, it is Ryan. I'm not sure if you know this about me, but I'm a bit of a fun fanatic when I can. I like to work, but I like fun too. It's a thing. And now the truth is out there. I can tell you about my favorite place to have fun. Chumba Casino. They have hundreds of social casino style games to choose from with new games released each week. You can play for free anytime, anywhere. And each day brings a new chance to collect daily bonuses. So join me in the fun. Sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Hello, it is Ryan, and we could all use an extra bright spot in our day, couldn't we? Just to make up for things like sitting in traffic, doing the dishes, counting your steps, all the mundane stuff. That is why I'm such a big fan of Chumba Casino. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere with daily bonuses. That should brighten your day a little. Actually, a lot. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. That's ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
He did.
They're not his twin flame spirit.
No. There is a part of some of the emails that we're reading tonight that are Gypsy's emails back and forth to me that include Nick and her supposed letters and everything back and forth between them. She says she never wrote him back. He tells a different tale. I don't know. The jury's still out on that one. I can see a case for both sides. I can see that she probably wrote him back because I think that Gypsy has this need to be heard and this need to have the final word on everything, especially after the emails that I've received. But then again, I don't know. Maybe she really did go for fresh start. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think at this point she's put it behind her. I think Nick is a distant memory, and I think she wants to forget Nick completely and move on with her life.
See, I'm on the other side. I feel both ways. I feel like Gypsy is getting plenty of men while in prison, and that she doesn't want to publicly acknowledge that, yeah, I'm still writing my ex-boyfriend or boyfriend. But I think that she probably still is because she's needy. And, I think she is just fine with, I don't think she really has that full compassion for cheating, not cheating, especially while in prison. So I don't know if she ever will in the future either. So I think despite having, public boyfriends, fiancés, whatever, I still think her and Nick are corresponding with each other in a positive way. Like on the down low.
I don't know about that. I just know that she has the need to have the last word. And so if he wrote her, I have a feeling that she has to write him back like a compulsion. I think that she does want to put it behind her and pretend that it never happened, but I'm not sure that he's going to allow that to ever happen. So I don't quite know that Gypsy is strong enough to say, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm cutting him off. I don't know. She swears that she doesn't speak to him, but like we said repeatedly, they all lie. So, they all do. So I really don't know on that one.
I kind of see Gypsy as more looking out for Gypsy at this point, and Nick can't benefit her at this point.
Right.
True.
Right.
So that's why I don't see it. Like maybe if he wrote to her and she wanted to just get that last, telling him off or giving him a piece of her mind or whatever and getting that last word. But I don't see her ever having any kind of ongoing communication with him at all.
What I can see though is that she would have the need to kind of rub in his face that she's moving on and respond of, because she sent me a message that was all about, I'm this and I'm that and I'm gonna blah 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 with my hot ass boyfriend and blah blah. And she sent that response to several different people at different times, so I can totally see her doing that, like sending to Nicholas, I don't know why you're writing me anymore, I have moved on to somebody who's way better than you, and like
yes,
I can see torturing him that way. Like I truly believe that is the type of person she is.
I could see that, not a little pen pal, healthy.
Well, no, I don't think it's like a healthy thing. I think that she would just want to be told how awesome Gypsy is, like an ego boost. Yeah. So maybe not saying like, I love you so much, Nick, but more or less, this is what's new in my life. Not about boyfriends, but like, Jill is good. Like, took a nice picture. This is what I did today.
So the admiration and the worship is kind of what you're thinking.
Yes, I think that she just wants to hear more about how great she is. And just accepting that. Like, thank you. I am the best. I am wonderful. I am Gypsy.
I am Gypsy. Hear me roar.
Yes. And I think Nick would give her all of that.
Yeah. Okay. So, I can totally see all of that because going forward, Gypsy's had a slew of men attached to her while in prison. And there's rumors about other types of relationships that she had while in Greene County Jail. The jailer was very adamant about the fact that she is highly, highly, highly sexualized. And so I can only imagine what that means. She said they had a lot of problems with her in jail, that there were romantic things going on inside of jail. So, maybe that was gay for the stay. I don't know.
I could definitely see her experimenting.
Sure. So, there was things about her being caught in the stairwell with people, and that's all from the jailer. So obviously, I don't know what she's doing exactly right now. There have been some very, very close relationships that could be questionable with women. And then of course she's had like these slew of boyfriends. So, and she broke off with one of them, like right as Ken professed his, undying love with this kiss in jail and got her in trouble. And, she just doesn't know how to stay away from trouble. I can tell you that. This girl does not know how to do that. She really, truly believes rules just don't apply to her, I think.
Right. Dee Dee didn't, do well for her ego. Now going forward, I definitely feel like the years of isolation and repressed teenage hormone really have just come to a head for this girl and now woman. And I don't even want to know what, rating if they were to get a reality show be like an NC-17 reality show.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't think it's going to be one man, one woman kind of thing for Gypsy for a long time. I just don't see it. I know she thinks that's what she wants. I know she wants this fairy tale. It's definitely what she tried to build with Ken. She built this fairy tale relationship based around that he's all I need. I don't need counseling, and I don't need you, and I don't need anybody to tell me what to do. I just need him. And I think that's going to be a pattern for her. I really, truly believe that that's going to be something that she continuously keeps trying for, but never quite achieves.
Oh, I absolutely agree.
She's definitely got daddy issues, and who wouldn't at this point,
I think she's going to be the one where every man she dates is Prince Charming, and it's going to be a fairy tale until it ends, and the next guy she dates will be Prince Charming, and it'll be a fairy tale until that one ends, because she doesn't know how to be in a relationship. She doesn't even know how to be herself in the world.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't think she's ever going to be. I also think it's going to be a revolving door. Like, I don't think that you're going to see a period of Gypsy alone. Like, she defines herself by those romantic relationships, and I think that she's not going to feel whole alone. Well,
and I think that every man is going to come up short for her. Mm-hmm. She has these high expectations of what a man or woman should be and what a relationship is supposed to be. Mm-hmm. And it's never going to be what she expects. She might be very a hypersexual individual for the rest of her life. And, if she's not getting it multiple times a day, every day, then she's going to stray and they're going to leave her. And then she's going to be like, well, why did they leave? And they weren't good enough. Next.
Right. And she's not going to take advice either. That's the thing. Like, she certainly didn't want to hear advice from me. She didn't want advice from Christy. She didn't want advice from even Titania, who she is somewhat respectful to Titania. And she doesn't want to hear any of that, because we tried to tell her, repeatedly that we were concerned with this relationship with Ken, and not because of anything against Ken personally. I mean, I have my own feelings and thoughts on Ken. Like, I don't think that a guy who is halfway decent looking in his 20s and works in a bar writes a girl behind prison and decides to have a monogamous supposed relationship with her that he never knew before is in a good place, obviously. Because then he would be with a girl on the outside. I mean, that's just common sense. But I mean, my own feelings about Ken, I was never concerned necessarily about him specifically. I was more concerned about where she's at in terms of being able to have a relationship, what kind of relationship that is while she's behind bars. I mean, that was completely crazy to me that she's going to do a 10-year stint or even 8. And she seems to think that this relationship she's going to foster while behind bars is realistic.
Well, I think with Ken, I think we're already seeing that pattern of immaturity. I remember one of the text messages with Nick. She says, I think I'm going to start wearing a ring so I can feel married to you.
Right.
And what do we see a few years later in the media? She's engaged to Ken, and she's wearing a ring that a friend of hers who she's in prison with is getting divorced, and gave her wedding ring and said, here, you can have this. And Gypsy's wearing it so she can feel married to Ken.
Right, and she gets in trouble for that. Yeah, she gets in trouble for that.
This is several years later, and it's the same immature behavior of playing house. I'm going to wear a ring so that we feel married, even though this can risk whatever privileges I have. I may not be able to use the phone. Things may be taken from me because I'm wearing this ring, but I'm still going to take this risk and wear this ring just so I can feel married, because it's part of that little fairy tale for her. And it shows she hasn't matured in any way since this happened and she's been in prison. She hasn't grown or changed. It's the same exact thing that we saw with Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. And
seeing some of the emails that she wrote to you, it makes me look at the text messages with Nick, where Nick would tell her, like, well, when you have those freakouts, you really scare me sometimes, and when we're together, are you going to always have these freakouts? And then I think of the emails that she wrote to you, and it's like, well, I can only imagine now things that she was saying to Nick that was scaring him.
Absolutely, because
to scare Nick.
Because you know what, these emails, and I pulled them up last night or the night before, to do this, and I had to go back through and read them again just so that I would familiarize myself, because I haven't looked at them in a very long time. And it's like, so I only send her 2 emails throughout this whole thing, the whole time that we've been talking. I talked to her a lot on the phone in the beginning. And then I didn't really have any email contact with her until she sent me the very first email where she was angry with me. But actually, I'm sorry, it wasn't that she was angry with me, it was that she was apologizing for being angry with me. I sent one back. Then everything was fine. Everything was roses. We went on, we did whatever. I had a great relationship with Christy. I still talked with Gypsy every once in a while. I asked questions, things like that. She'd answer them through Christy, which may or may not be true now that we found out, that Christy was kind of manipulating the situation. I'm not even sure how great the answers, like if Christy was just asking her and not telling her she was asking for me. I'm not quite sure, but there's definitely then the rest of the emails. I mean, so she sends me one where she's livid, absolutely freaking out, and I respond one time, and then there's like 6 more that come over the next couple of days, and they just go back and forth between, okay, I'm willing to work with you, and da 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 da, and then the next one is like cussing me out, and then the next one is like, I'm gonna ruin your career, and we're gonna read those, and you're gonna get to hear them all. We'll also include them in the Patreon account, but like I mean, looking at them now, it was like a roller coaster, and it was so bad that I chose not to respond, and I had to ask one of our other producers, Tori, to send her a message and say, I said, look, I'm not responding to this. I'm not going to feed into this roller coaster of a ride with her. What we need to do at this point is you can tell her, yes, she is allowed to be out of her contract. We no longer are obligated to, compensate her, and whatever we have, because obviously she can't take back what she already had. So we went through that, and I mean, literally, Tori sent her like, here I am. This is, 3 sentences. You are done. Here is this. Here's that. Boom. Thanks for your time, Tori. Because I could not respond after the first response and her just going off for days on me. It was like, I can't be a part of this craziness that she is doing.
I'm more or less stunned because I know what we're about to say about these emails and like what she actually says, but it just plays on her immaturity level and how much she dislikes, I don't want to say stir the pot as much as she doesn't, I guess maybe in prison she doesn't have a good conversation filter, but anything that she comes to her mind, she lets it stew in her own brain until she can throw it out in a quick email.
She involves other people in this situation that she should have never involved. She'll make the statement, like she sent out emails that she would be like, I'm writing to my closest friends. Your closest what friends? Your 9,000 people that follow a woman on Facebook? Like, who are your closest friends? It's not Facebook admins. Like, I mean, it was so strange the way that she went through this whole process. And at first I blamed the other person, as in, the person that she was writing to and this other Facebook admin that she involved, because that person is just heinous. But truthfully, she's who involves this woman past the beginning, and she does not understand that she can't trust this woman. But then in an email, she'll say, oh, I do know that I can't trust this woman. Meanwhile, at the same time that she wrote that to me, on the same day, she's actually sending another email to that woman. Like, so there is no thought process. She just flies off the handle and does whatever the hell it is that she feels is in her brain at the time, which, this is the type of behavior we've seen from Gypsy from the beginning. And it's how we're here talking about her today, because anybody with logical thought would not have ended this the way that she has ended. Nobody would have thought that, yes, let's just go ahead and spend 2 years planning the murder of my mom and actually carry it out, and never consider anything else.
Well, right. I feel like everybody involved in that side of the story really just didn't really understand the repercussions of their actions.
No, not at all.
Then and now, and even in the last few months, they haven't. And I don't know if they still do, or if they just, it's now to the wayside because they can't take back what they did. And
right.
Don't go anywhere. The Good Wives will be right back.
What if you could be a true crime detective right from the comfort of your own home? Dispatch is an interactive serial mystery that unfolds over several months. Imagine the experience of an escape room in your own home, a new kind of escape called Dispatch. It's a subscription box that is a step apart from everyday entertainment, better than a book, more engaging than television. Think of it as an immersive mystery where you wear the detective hat. The story begins with the first delivery, or dispatch, if you will. In it, you'll find physical clues that lead you to the web and back to the real world to unravel a mysterious crime. Grab a friend, the whole family, and your thinking cap, and get ready to put your heads together for one mind-bending ride, as additional details are revealed with every package. Check out the description for a special link to grab your dispatch box today and start your own true crime detectiving.
My response back, I responded the next day, and my response back was to try and let her know that I understood where she was coming from, that I cared about her, and that my job as the person trying to tell her story was to really protect her and help her, and that I only thought of her, in the terms of how I would speak to my own daughter, and I'm going to read that next. I don't know if you guys want to comment at all on the email that she wrote to me, though.
More so, you can tell where she's starting to really besides the phone call, you're starting to see where she really is very getting into the flip-flop of her own emotions in the high and low period, but how she's wanting it to be that fairy tale and wanting to be her, try to be her own person, but not in a positive way.
Well, one of the things that she's very out of touch with what the reality of the situation is. One of the statements she made to me in that phone call that we had was that my children, because she wanted to have children, my children will never know about this, because I was telling her, Gypsy, what you don't understand is, honey, you are now a public figure, and no matter where you go, no matter what you do, there is always going to be media coverage. You're going to go to the grocery store, they're going to follow you. You go on vacation with your family, they're going to follow you. You take your child to the first day of kindergarten, they're going to follow you. That's what's going to happen, and you have to be prepared for that. And we can put things in place for you to help you with that, bodyguards, gated communities, things like that. But you have to allow us to do our jobs to try and help you with this. And that was one of the outbursts. She screamed at me and she said, my children will never know about this. And I was struck dumbfounded. I'm like, Gypsy, are you serious? Honey, they are going to know whether you want them to know or not. No, they won't. Yes, they absolutely will. And I guarantee you it would be much better for
them
that conversation to come from you than some a-hole kid in, you know, 3rd grade that runs up to them and on the playground and says, my mommy says I shouldn't play with you because your mommy's a murderer. Like,
well, right. And unfortunately for her, she is not a, you know, plain Jane.
No.
She is very recognizable. She is very small and very defined, pronounced features of her face.
Mm-hmm.
And so besides being the height of a middle schooler,
right,
her face is going to give it away.
Not to mention that, like, she's a felon and she does not understand what being a felon is going, a violent felon.
Yeah.
So I tried to explain to her, you're not going to have a normal life even with as a mom, okay? You're not going to get to come out and take your child on the Washington, D.C. trip or to the zoo with the school. No. You can't be a part of the PTA. You can't be at the school. You can pick your child up. That is all you can do. And you may not even be allowed to do that, depending. You would not be able to have a normal life with your child like you're thinking. It's just not going to happen.
Her only way she would be able to ever get around that is until she serves out her entire parole and then she moves across the world.
Even then it still wouldn't happen because they to be able to be on school campus as like a parent chaperone or anything like that, you have to have a background check. And if you have a violent felony, no fucking way. That's not happening. And so I was trying to give her the reality of the situation. So when I wrote her back, I tried to come to her with love and understanding. And basically I wanted her to see where I was coming from. One of the things that she was upset about was me, you know, talking to her about this wedding. And this is before I ever did an article in Touch or anything about that. This was just me responding to her. So what I came back with was trying to relate to her as to what our team was, who was on the team, what I was coming from. And this is what I wrote back the next day. Hello, Gypsy. I have so much to say. I don't even know where to begin. First, thank you so much for your apology. That shows the maturity level that you have achieved. It's not easy for people to apologize and truly mean it. I have the utmost respect for you. I think you have grown and you are destined to do amazing things. Second, concerning your wedding, I expressed my thoughts to Ken, not because I feel like I have a say, but because I know how it is to do something at the moment and regret it later. I ran off to Vegas and got married 23 years ago on June 1st. I was pregnant with my first daughter. My mother-in-law was an awful person, and my mom and she was fighting constantly. I was irritated and stressed out and just wanted to do it. So we got married in Vegas with the intent of someday having a second wedding. That never happened, and now my mom is no longer with us. I didn't realize at the time what I was stealing from myself, my mom, my family, and friends. But there is not a day in all of the 23 years that I have not wished I would have done it differently. I had always dreamed of getting married in my grandparents' backyard overlooking the wooded area below, and sadly my wedding was a far cry from that. Now they are gone, and that house is sold.
With Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to... Has anyone seen the bride and groom?
Sorry, we're here. We were getting lucky in the limo and we lost track of time.
No, Lucky Land Casino, with cash prizes that add up quicker than a guest registry.
In that case, I pronounce you lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Daily bonuses are waiting. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
It is Ryan here, and I have a question for you. What do you do when you win? Like, are you a fist pumper, a woohooer, a hand clapper, a high fiver? I kind of like the high five, but if you want to hone in on those winning moves, check out Chumba Casino. At ChumbaCasino.com, choose from hundreds of social casino-style games for your chance to redeem serious cash prizes. There are new game releases weekly, plus free daily bonuses. So don't wait. Start having the most fun ever at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
So I won't even be able to experience this with my own daughters who have upcoming weddings. What I'm trying to say is right now, I know you think you really want this, but what is it you are getting? A piece of paper. That's it. Your mom stole every life moment from you, Gypsy. And I hate for this one last day that is solely about you to be ripped from you as well. You won't know what you're missing until it's much too late. You won't have the moment of laughing with your sister over ugly bridesmaid dresses, or holding up a sign saying yes to the dress with your mom, or that moment with your dad just before he walks you down the aisle, or father-daughter dances, or to even share special moments with your husband at the reception when nobody's looking. It doesn't seem like a big deal now, I'm sure, but someday it will be. Nothing will change if you get married in prison, but so much will if you waited to do it on the outside. But it's not my decision. I can just speak from a place of wisdom and regret myself. However, I 100% support you and your right to choose. I want so much for you, Gypsy. I want you to come out of prison and get the best care, the best help, and see you live an amazing life, one filled with precious memories and laughter and joy. In regards to the media, I understand how you feel. Everyone has done damage to you, and it's not right. The only thing I have done is try my absolute best to make those stories the best I can, to spin it in the most positive light. I think you and Ken should do one interview, and I agree it should just be the two of you speaking. But to ensure that it is not twisted like it has been in the past by so many, I hope that you would allow me to help you set it up and be there to make sure you guys are protected. That's my main concern for you. I know you don't completely understand what I and Christy do in the media, but I assure you everything I have done or had Christy do has been for the betterment of you and your story. I have never pushed you into the light. I've tried to take that away from you and shine it better. That is why I have taken the talking on, so you didn't have to. And I turned down so many requests, it's unreal. The spotlight was finally turned more towards our project and less directly at you, and that was planned on my part. If you give them something to talk about, they will not talk about other things. By proxy is not at all what you think it is, I promise. I understand why you might feel worried about it. I 100% assure you I am nothing like Michelle Dean. Okay, so we've come to the part where we're going to read these emails, but for me to do that, I kind of have to explain some things that I wasn't really sure I even wanted to talk about. As you guys know, I have been working on this for almost 3.5, close to 4 years. The ladies have joined me in the last year when I realized I couldn't do this all by myself, and just me and Tori and Christy helping out. So we kind of brought this team on, and it's been an amazing, wonderful ride with the ladies. But there's been some crazy stuff too. But for the first couple of years, you know, everybody kind of stayed in their own lane. There were lots of Facebook groups dedicated to Gypsy, and we all kind of coexisted without really bumping into each other a whole hell of a lot. I had my proxy page. I was involved in several different groups. I would make comments. I talked about things, you know, I asked questions to see what people were wanting to know still. There were a few scuffles here and there, but for the most part, we all kind of stayed in our own lanes until about a year ago. And about a year ago, a brand new group popped up. And they began by starting off on the by proxy page, and basically this person spammed the page with their group. And so Christy and I went over, we checked it out. It was fairly new at the time. And it seemed pretty harmless at first. The Facebook admin seemed pretty knowledgeable and nice. She just wanted to know new things. And so we were participating in the group until it began to be something really weird and different. I had a conversation with one of her admins that she had added. We had a disagreement about Nicholas being a big part or not a big part of this, which is something we talked about before. And it began to snowball from there. When Christy and I left that group, we thought we would leave like we'd left other groups that we just didn't want to be a part of, that were kind of nasty, and everything would be fine. That was not the case. So a few months go into this, and basically, I don't know, maybe a year or two prior to this, Christy made the mistake of outing Gypsy and Ken's relationship inside of another Facebook group. It was the largest Facebook group at the time. It was the original Facebook group that had been discussing this. And she thought that what she was doing was somehow, they were talking a lot about Gypsy in a negative way. and the act was impending, and all these different things were happening. And so Christy thought, well, I'll give them something good to positive to talk about. It totally backfired, and Ken was very upset. He was not prepared for that. And basically, everybody rushed to try and kind of retract that information and hopefully kind of control it. And we did. We were able to kind of keep it out of the media. It stayed within this one Facebook group. Christy took the post down. We talked with the Facebook group admin. She agreed to not talk about it any longer, and everybody went back to normal. Well, when this other new Facebook group began, she began looking into all kinds of crazy theories and speculations. And so it came about that she was very irritated that we would not participate in her shenanigans. And she tried to stalk Christy. She stalked me. She, harassed the group. She did all these different things. She would send people over to the page to try and incite, arguments and all these different things. Well, she finally got us all riled up because she was going to release a mugshot that Ken had, which is Gypsy's now not fiance, but at the time was the fiance. And nobody knew what this mugshot was for. I got information from one of her admins who had been talking with me because she was trying to understand why this woman didn't like me, didn't like Christy, didn't like anything for the longest time. So she was trying to help me, and she said, hey, she's going to do this. So then Ken got word that it had been done. It had been leaked out there. And mind you, this mugshot is for a failure to appear on some stupid traffic stop. It's not like it's some, horrible mugshot of him, being a sexual predator or a murderer or a rapist or anything of those things. It's literally a failure to appear on a traffic stop. But she tried to make it out to be so much more than that. She began alleging that it was a DUI, and she began alleging that he had relationships with men, because it was mentioned in this something, or with an article or something that was written with this thing, that there was some other man involved. Well, that was actually supposedly his father-in-law. I mean, his stepfather. So, but she tried to allege that was some romantic relationship. So Ken decides that he wants to go into this group and defend himself. I suggested he not do this. Christy suggested he not do this. Gypsy even supposedly suggested he not do this. Ken wasn't having it. So Ken decided to go into the group and tangle with this woman, who I basically told him she's going to annihilate you. And he thought he was really funny and that he could handle her. And basically he said to me, well, you got to keep the groups lively, right? And this is a guy who did not want any press, did not want to be involved in the press, nothing, but yet he's going to go into a Facebook group with a woman who is constantly stirring up every kind of drama she can, stalking me, stalking the Blanchards, saying horrible, awful things about Gypsy, calling her a mentally retarded, and she used that word, girl by day, sex crazed horn dog looking for serial killers on the internet by night. She compared Gypsy to a possum and put us side by side. She basically alleged that Christy and Rod were swingers at one point in time. And none of this is substantiated. She just made it all up and just to cause drama. And so when Ken did this, she decides to call a newspaper, the New Yorker, and release to them his mugshot and basically tell them that he has a DUI, he's a bad guy, he's all these different things, that Gypsy had dated a guy previously that was on the FBI watch list, which is not true. And so basically I'm the person who got called in because I was the representative at this time that was the official spokesperson for the family, because Gypsy had asked Christy to kind of take a step back from doing these kind of press tours and things. And so since the act had started, I basically was doing this interview series on debunking the act, what was right and wrong in the act. And, so I was kind of the space. And so I got involved to basically try and help Ken and Gypsy figure out how they wanted to approach this. Ken refused to speak to the media. And so Gypsy basically called me up one day and cussed me out. She told me that I could shove my project up my ass. She even, I said something about, well, we were just trying to set the record straight about Aaliyah at one point. And she goes, well, Aaliyah can go fuck herself because Aaliyah's never even been to visit me. And I was shocked. I was shocked. I sat on my couch and I looked at my daughter who was sitting next to me and she goes, who is that? And I said, oh, it's Gypsy. And she goes, why in the hell is she yelling at you like that? I said, I really don't know. I called Christy. I was in tears. I just couldn't even believe that I had been spoken to that way by this girl who I was absolutely trying to, do the best thing for and just get her story out there the right way. This was long before we'd seen the interrogation video. This was just absolutely uncalled for. And Christy said she's not mad at you. She's mad at Michelle from the act for doing this to her. And she's just taking it on you because she can't take it out on Michelle. So I tell you all of that so that I can read this first email from her. And this is dated on 5/28 of 2019. So mind you, I've been involved with this family for quite a long time at this point. So this is the letter I got. It says, hi, Francesca. First, I would like to apologize for my outburst on the phone some weeks back. I won't say that it was right of me, but I had hit a breaking point. A lot was happening with the media hounding Ken's family who are not used to this type of attention, and my personal life being unveiled to all, not just the people in these groups, but to...
With Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to... Has anyone seen the bride and groom?
Sorry, we're here. We were getting lucky in the limo and we lost track of time.
No, Lucky Land Casino, with cash prizes that add up quicker than a guest registry.
In that case, I pronounce you lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Daily bonuses are waiting. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Lucky Land Casino, asking people, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
Lucky? In line at the deli, I guess?
Aha, in my dentist's office. More than once, actually.
Do I have to say?
Yes, you do.
In the car before my kids' PTA meeting.
Really?
Yes.
Excuse me, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
I never win and tell.
Well, there you have it. You can get lucky anywhere, playing at LuckyLandSlots.com. Play for free right now. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
The world was overwhelming, to put it mildly. This is really not what I thought my life would be. But you are right. This is my life right now. This is a fact I'm coming to accept. Ken has already accepted it. Neither of us enjoy it, but we accept it. I did hear some of Dr. Phil's podcast, and now I'm rather upset that I did turn down the opportunity to speak. I feel that his assessment of my relationship and my reason for going to Nick's trial couldn't be more off base. I went back to Greene County Jail for Nick's trial because I felt it was the right thing to do, and it brought me closure. The day I received a letter from Nick was emotional. However, all in caps, never all in caps, did I even once deliberate on which guy I was going to choose. I have built a relationship based on mutual love, understanding, trust, and comfort. I would never even for a second have considered Nick's offer to get back together, so Dr. Phil was misinformed. And the part regarding Ken, I truly do not believe Dr. Phil's opinion is correct. I do have a lot of emotional scars, but to say I'm in a nutshell that I only would bring toxicity to a relationship, ... that's far from the truth. I have been able to grow as a woman in the last 4 years since being incarcerated. I'm not that broken, scared little girl anymore. I have taken many classes here at the facility and have excelled at these tools to aid me back into society. Furthermore, Ken really doesn't deserve to be judged as harshly as he is by everyone who looks at us and wonders why we are together. And my final point, yes, I have baggage, so does he. How we accept that baggage and focus on the more important things. He has been the person I feel safe with, the one I felt I tell everything to, the reason why I'm doing as well as I currently am. He is a help, not a hinder to my mental and emotional healing. I was talking with Ken on the phone, and that episode of the podcast really made him question if he really is a positive contributor to my life and just how much. I'm like, yes, you are. First thing is Dr. Phil's opinion was based on incorrect facts, so he couldn't make a reasonable assessment of us anyway. And we as a couple need to stay true to ourselves rather than listen to other opinions, even if they come from Dr. Phil himself. As much assessing and analyzing as people do, they do not see us when we are together. They do not hear our phone conversations, nor do they know the personal ups and downs we've gone through together. My point is, I don't listen to people who make assessments based on a titled person, such as myself. I'm titled as too damaged to give love in a healthy manner. However, I believe that I give just as much to my relationship as Ken does, and it is healthy and positive, and it doesn't take away from my emotional healing. It adds, smiley face. My biggest hindrance is and always will be the media spotlight. This is why I have developed a hatred for it. I have had more bad experiences than good, and all the attention is bringing my life nothing but hardship. Even the staff are tired of it. The prison gets calls all the time from people claiming to be fans. That also puts me under a microscope here by staff. Attention I don't want, because I don't want to be singled out. I just want to be another inmate just doing her time. It's just stressful. I'm striving to be extra good because I obviously am not one that can fly under the radar. Moving on to a lighter topic, smiley face. I know Mom told you about our upcoming wedding in January, smiley face. We have decided this is 100% right for us as a couple, and the location is secondary to the meaning of this day. We both agreed that we will come out with a joint interview, just he and I, for the media outlet of our choosing, as well as releasing a picture of us together when we feel the time is right for us. We as a couple want to have a chance to put to rest any question the public may have about us and give them one good interview, just one, all in caps, interview, then move on with our lives. I know I will always be well known, but my case and past is really my existence right now. To people, I'm Gypsy Blanchard from the act, the girl who murdered her mother. But when I come home to my husband and family, I'm Gypsy Rose Burker, the woman with a fresh start in life. I don't plan on being on TV when I come home, and if anyone tries to make me for whatever reason, then they, all in caps, obviously don't respect me as a person or my wishes. I accept my present circumstances, but I will not let my past dictate my future. Sometimes you and Christy disregard my capital thoughts, emotions, and wishes, and it's frustrating trying to go against the grain of both of you with regards to media. As I said, Ken and I are moving forward with our lives as best we can. I'm sure by proxy we'll bring another big wave of attention, but we're strong enough to handle it. I still haven't changed my stance on it, and I doubt it will change, but all I ask is this. If by proxy is focused on my mother more than I, please don't over-dramatize her as a person like the Lifetime movie did. Please try and give her memory some respect, as she was a complex person, but she was still a person. Thank you, Gypsy Rose. So that was our first email conversation. That was the first time she messaged me on an email. There's so many littered things inside of there that if you weren't really wrapped up in this, you might not catch them. But it was hard for me to get that, especially after the really strange phone call and how close I had thought we really were. I have 100% been honest the entire time. I have never tried to hurt you in any way, and I want the absolute truth out there. My proxy is bigger than this case. It's bigger than a tragic event. It's bigger than you or me. I started out expecting to do a small series, and it's so much more important than that now. It's probably going to be the best important thing any of us ever work on project-wise. We aren't just doing a limited dramatized series. We're also doing a companion series that will discuss things in depth. We're assembling medical professionals, advocates for autism awareness, advocates for child abuse, prison reform, and even organizing ways to give back to the community and charities Dee Dee took so much from. So much good can come out of this, Gypsy, and you should be proud of it. And I 100% believe when it is out and you see it, you will understand and be proud. I would never over-dramatize anyone. I think Dee Dee was sick, Gypsy. I think she needed help, and I aim to show the world this illness went so much deeper than just you. I hope people come away with it from a deeper understanding of how it all was set in motion so long before that night before you were even born. You deserve to be understood, and so does she. She was on a bad path from the second she was born, Gypsy, and I want people to understand that she couldn't help who she was any more than anyone else. I hope to show the human qualities of all of you. If someone had paid attention to Dee Dee in a healthy way when signs first started showing, maybe things would be different. Not all sociopaths end up bad. Some live very successful lives. It is all in the tools and care they are shown, and I think Dee Dee was not given the right tools. I'm hoping by showing that she was a person who was not given the right tools, that maybe someone else can recognize the signs in someone they knew and love and get them the correct help and tools to be successful instead of damaging. I shared the pilot with Ken and Christy, so if you want to know more about you, can ask them to read it to you or something. I do not take the task of sharing your family story lightly, and I find it an honor to be able to know all of you. Christy has become like a sister to me, and I'm not a girlfriend type of person. I choose my tribe very carefully. I have been hurt and destroyed too many times too. Our whole staff believes in the importance of this story, and we all have our own personal struggles that we are overcoming working on this. Many of us have been abused as well, so we know the struggle you have in loving someone who so terribly hurt you. I know I shared with you that my mother was abusive growing up. I never told you, though, how I felt a lot. My mother was on so many medications as she was a juvenile diabetic with so many complications. My dad left when I was 6. I never had a relationship with him until I was an adult, and it's still very limited. So it was me and mom forever. I love my mom deeply, and I know she loved me, but my mom was messed up. She was abusive and emotionally destroying me. I can't tell you how many times I stood over her bed while she lay in a diabetic coma, thinking if I just went to bed and didn't call the ambulance for the 90th time this year, she didn't take good care of herself, then it would all be over. She would go peacefully, and I would be free. I didn't allow myself to do that, thankfully, and as an adult, I repaired my relationship with her. I tell you this so you understand how important it is to me to show just how human everyone was in all of this. I plan to share my story in the after show to let people understand how those feelings can manifest, and the difference with me and others was that we knew we could leave. I used to count down the days. My mom was my biggest champion and my best friend too, but she was also overbearing and limiting and allowing me to live my life. She threw me an amazing graduation party, and the very next day at 7 a.m., I woke up, packed all my things, and my friend picked me up and drove me 2 hours away to live with her. I slept on an enclosed porch and paid way too much in rent because I couldn't live with my mom anymore. But you never got that chance because you never got to turn 18 and know you could leave. You didn't have a friend to come get you. You didn't have people to support you. If you see no escape, you stop looking for it. I think Nick was bad from the start. I've seen letters he's written since, and he is scary, like super scary. And I think you gave him what he wanted, and if it hadn't been Dee Dee, it was going to be someone else. I'm honestly glad you did such a horrible job trying to get away with it, because I fear for what he would have had dragged you into. So please, please know Gypsy. And she was the most amazing grandmother ever. Only have the best of intentions and heart for all of this. I am sad I have not been able to come and visit you. I have had a horrible year with me, much trouble personally. I do intend to come at some point so you can see who I am and see the pain in my eyes when I think about all you had to endure and the joy I have knowing how you get to live an incredible life. I'm absolutely so honored to tell your story and know you and your beautiful family, and it pains me to think you believe I have anything less than good heart and love for all of you. Ken said once that you don't speak to me because I'm condescending, and I'm so, so sorry I have ever made you feel that way. I'm a tough cookie, I'm as hard as nails, and I speak with no filter. That all comes from a place of love and care, so please accept my apology as well, and I hope that you will allow me to speak to you again, and I will try to be more aware of how I speak. I don't realize it often, so if I ever say something you're hurt by or upset by, please just stop me and tell me. This show is so much to so many people, and it hasn't even aired yet. The people working on it all have a passion for it. One of our admins even remembers being a little girl and begging her dad if she could send you $5 because she wanted to help you and she was never allowed to. So for her, this is helping you. One of my good friends, Whitney, who wrote to you, was crying when I asked her to help. And each day she calls me crying or raging or laughing at something she has found. And it brings her such joy to know she is doing this. She hopes you will write her back and she wants to be your friend. She's exactly 20 days older than you. And she hopes you will find her someone you can trust and be friends with. So I'm sorry I've rambled on for so long, but I have been meaning to write this all to you for quite some time. But I wanted to give you space and allow you to reach out when you were ready.
Judy was boring.
Hello.
Then Judy discovered ChumbaCasino.com.
It's my little escape.
Now Judy's the life of the party.
Oh, baby, mama's bringing home the bacon.
Whoa, take it easy, Judy. The Chumba life is for everybody. So go to ChumbaCasino.com and play over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Coincidence? I think not. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere, even at 30,000 feet. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
No purchase necessary. VGW. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18 plus.
I'd very much love to talk with you again and not have this crap hanging over our head. Even if you were never talk to me for by proxy again, Gypsy, I am here for you. I again want you to know that I will make sure that when by proxy is done, it is tasteful and honest and respectful and something you can hopefully be proud of. I can't wait to see the amazing life you have when all this is over, when you get to walk free, and I'm doing everything I can to make that happen sooner than later. I hope this helps you to understand better what I'm all about, how much I care for you and your family, and how much this all means to all of us working on things for you. Thank you for sharing your life with me and so many others. Write to me anytime about anything. Much love and respect, Fancy Miss Sully.
I'm crying.
I'm crying.
I'm trying not to.
So that is the first of many conversations that we have. Well, I'm sorry. I have to say it differently. That's the first of many conversations or letters that I get from her. I only respond to her one other time. And we're going to read more of those, but I thought I'd give my girls here a moment to talk about what they felt after we went through all of that.
It's just so sad to the point that we are at now, and what unfortunately had to have transpired for us to be where we are now. But that all the emotions and the feelings and where we were then and how we wanted so much for this project and that we're working on with future projects, but that so much time and effort and positivity, and we just had so much good happening, and that literally everything just is so different now due to really social media.
Sorry, it's just definitely hard to talk about, to think about, like Colleen said, what it took to get us to where we are now compared to where we were in the beginning.
I mean, I think back, that's May. Like, to think about where we were at in May of this year to where, or of last year, to where we are January of 2020. It feels like a lifetime ago.
It does feel like a lifetime.
This was before we had ever had any problems with Christy. This was before the interrogation video. This was before things got completely out of control with these Facebook groups. This was, but what she was talking about in her letter, and I forgot to mention, was, that Facebook admin that I was talking about, her and her group of people were actually calling the prison and asking to speak to Gypsy as if she was like a day spa. This is how bad this got at this point and what caused all of this to go down. I don't know what would possess a person to think that they can just call up a prison and ask to speak to a prisoner. And there is proof of this, that they were making these phone calls. They admitted to making these phone calls. They even said, I've called the prison, and what the prison is asking is for us to stop making these phone calls. It was crazy. And it all just came crashing down in a matter of minutes. And
it was all so fast. It was just such a more or less whirlwind of insanity. If it wasn't one thing, it was 20 other things.
Yeah.
And it just, our team, and I think what hit me the hardest is that when you said that, like, private person, that been hurt too many times, that it's like, yeah, we've been hurt too many times by the people who we care about the most in this group, in this team, and the people we've worked with.
Mm-hmm.
And
we still continue on, because we all felt like this was really, really important. And I poured my heart out to her. I shared things with her I'm not shared with a lot of other people. My best friends don't know a lot of what I shared with her, because I wanted her to understand I understood her story, and that I understood how abusive a relationship could be, and then to find out that a lot of that was not true, and to be treated the way that I've been treated. And that's a mild letter between the two of us. Wait till you hear the rest. Because they're crazy. So as I said, that wasn't even near the worst of how bad these get. That was very mild. That was, it was the beginning, though, of this beginning to fall apart, and the beginning of the end for all of us.
I think that the ones that we just read are more emotional on our end, but then more that she is not having a complete temper tantrum yet.
Right. Yeah, this is the beginning of it, though. This is like the calm before the storm. I mean, like, this is just a little bit like, oh, I might get really rowdy, but no, okay, I'll rein it in. This next one is 2 months later. So we've now progressed to July 17th of last year. And this is in response to the In Touch article that we did regarding the fact that Ken and Gypsy were choosing to get married while in prison. And I didn't necessarily want to do that article, but the Facebook admin that we've been talking about struck again. She started putting something that I had said privately to somebody about Ken, I've said it to him, all over the internet. And so then I began getting questioned about it and why I had said said this. And so basically I ended up with our producer, Tori, doing an interview with In Touch and explaining why I had said some of the things that were being put out there. That was a private conversation. And I thought that we did a really great job, honestly, of keeping it very positive, and in the fact that we weren't concerned about Ken as a person or them as a couple, but that we were concerned for Gypsy missing out on something that she would not realize later that she had missed out on.
Right.
And so I thought we did a really great job. And if you guys haven't read the article yet, it's at In Touch Weekly online, and you can just search Gypsy Rose Blanchard, and basically every article that we've ever done will come up. So, and this one was like the family is not happy about her being engaged. So you guys can read it there. I'm not going to bother reading that, since you guys can kind of go and find that yourself. And there's a lot of great articles we did with In Touch especially. So you should totally check those out. Anyway, so on the 17th, Gypsy writes this letter to me. And it starts off with, Francesca, I'm really disappointed with this recent In Touch article. That was uncalled for. That was extra drama that you have created. Ken is upset. I'm upset. My parents are upset with you and this article. May I ask, what was the point of doing that article? What was the importance? That, to me, all capital, seemed like a personal attack on my relationship, and I feel very disrespected and hurt. I have cussed you out before for speaking on things you shouldn't, and this is not a step closer to gaining my trust, but you have just sealed my opinion about you. I don't trust you and never will. Keep me and my husband's name out of your mouth. You forget I'm, all in caps, the one the media wants the interview with. It's my, in caps, name whose coattails you're riding on. I'm a loose cannon, and I don't think you want to start a media war with me. You're no friend to me. I agree with everything that Facebook admin said about you. I don't agree with her about Christy, as you are just a bug in her ear, and she's a kind, good-hearted woman who wants the best for me, and you take advantage of her kindness by misguiding her. You are a nobody to make a career off of my capitalized tragic life. I think you dislike Ken because he calls you on your bullshit and sees through you just as I do. I apologize to you for my previous outburst, but I will not apologize for defending my own personal life, as it's of no concern to you or the media. No one needed to know about my wedding in January until when Ken and I decided to make a joint interview together after the fact. How do you think Ken's family feels reading that In Touch article? How do you think he feels? How do you think I feel reading that Bash Ken article? All that man has ever done was love me, care about my sanity, and want a positive life for me and for us as a couple. He does not deserve to be treated like he is a hinder to my life. You simply are so wrapped up in the fame, you can't see we are people with feelings and emotions. You spoke for my parents, which, as Christy tells me, you're so far off base in this case. They love Ken, they trust Ken, and they are more than just okay about the ceremony in January. Sure, they might feel it's preferred to wait. However, I know for a fact Ken had a savings account for our real wedding when I'm released. Do you honestly think a man that holds me so dear would ever settle for just a prison wedding? As if he bought me a Tiffany ring. That ain't no average Joe who is not going to let me not have the whole shebang. Ken and I are already planning our wedding when I'm free. This ceremony is about the very real commitment that we have started from day one when we decided to have a completely monogamous relationship while I'm still in DOC.
With the Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
This is your captain speaking. We've got clear runway and the weather's fine, but we're just going to circle up here a while and get lucky. No, nothing like that. It's just these cash prizes add up quick. So I suggest you sit back, keep your tray table upright, and start getting lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Your article made me seem like I was some love-struck, impulsive chick, and Ken, who is a hinder to my life. When you put that, I always say we, or he says we. Well, no shit. We are a couple. Of course, our decisions are first talked about as individuals, and then we make a joint decision as a couple. I'm not leading, nor is he. We make our choices together. No one is more in control than the other. We are equally part of this relationship. We, all in caps, are getting married in January despite your unimportant opinion. And he and I are still not going to support your series, nor be your dog and pony show. So take your pathetic 15 minutes of fame on the account of putting me under stress and hardship. You have crossed the line for the last time. Keep my relationship out of your mouth, you fucking cunt. I don't want your money from your series. I don't want any more help from you with regards to media. Consider us done, both as a partnership and personal. And let me ask you this. Did you even send me an email to check on my emotional state after the episode of Killer Couples aired? Did you have me call you so you could be there if I needed to talk? No, but Ken did. So who really has my best interest at heart here? We're done here. Gypsy Rose Blanchard. So.
Yeah, that loose cannon using the C word.
Yeah, and I mean, that doesn't speak very well for her parole board hearing.
I was gonna say that, like, she says she's a loose cannon.
She can't even realize that what she's doing is not going to help her in her quest. Like, she's just mad and flies off the handle. And you show that to a parole board for a person who was mad and flew off the handle and killed her mom. It's not going to endear them to get you out. Like, it's just not. They're going to realize, oh, she hasn't learned her lesson. No, she's going to do the whole bid. So, I mean, that was a pretty brutal response there. And I want to point out a couple of things that I found rather interesting with this letter that I was like, are you kidding me? So, first off, she's accusing me of creating all of this drama and being the person that, like, runs to the media and stuff. I actually didn't choose that. That was chosen for me by Christy, who said, Gypsy doesn't want me doing interviews anymore, so you need to do them. And you need to do all of them. And so I stepped into that role to try and promote our series and talk about different things and everything. And so anytime anybody would even come to Christy at all, she'd just send them to me and lay them on me. And then I was left to deal with it in however which way I could. She and I had many conversations about the upcoming wedding. She was very concerned about it, but she played both sides of this fence. Like, she would tell me and Tori and the team how worried she was about all of this. And then Ken would write me nasty messages and write other people on the team nasty messages. And she would then, be all appalled by that and be like, I'm going to talk to Gypsy. But then she'd run back to Gypsy and to Ken and play the side of, well, she's just trying to do the best she can, but I agree, she shouldn't have said that. And meanwhile, she's the one that's telling me all of this stuff to say. So Christy was perpetuating that. And really, that was another part of the problem with Gypsy, was because the only information she's getting is information from people who aren't the most reliable people. Ken's going to tell her what he wants to tell her, and Christy's going to tell her what she wants to be told. And in all reality, nobody should have told Gypsy a damn thing about any of it, because she can't read it in prison or listen to any of it in prison. So she would have been none the wiser if everybody had just kept their mouths shut and let us deal with the outside world while she is in there, instead of causing more stress for her.
Yeah, especially that she can't read it. She's not, the stress of Killer Couples. You couldn't watch it.
Right. Well, and that's the other thing. So she says that to me, asking me about, well, did I contact her? No. You know why? Because the last time I had contact with you was 2 months ago, when I wrote this letter back to you because you were so angry and you were apologizing for being horrible. And the last thing I said to you was, I am always here for you. If you need anything, please contact me. I was giving her the option to not have to speak with me, because she said she didn't like speaking with me. So I was not going to force her to speak with me. I was trying to be respectful of her wishes. And now here I am 2 months later, it's being thrown in my face because I didn't contact her after Killer Couples came out.
It's interesting to me with Gypsy and with her emails. And I remember when you first got this email, and when she talks about her parents being upset and they're more than just okay with the situation. Mm-hmm. And my instinct as a parent was like, they're absolutely not okay with the situation. Of course they're worried. But as time went on and there were more emails and I saw more, my opinion completely changed on that. And this may be an unpopular opinion with our listeners, but I kind of think that for Christy and for Gypsy's dad, I think her getting married and being released from prison and going to Ken's home is preferable for them than Gypsy going to their home.
Absolutely.
And they probably were okay with it because it took a huge burden and it was probably a huge relief to them to say, you know what, we don't have to deal with her coming home and living with us.
Right.
And everything that comes along with that.
Absolutely. But to us, she was boohooing and crying about it and saying, oh, I'm so worried. I don't know. She shouldn't get married while she's in prison. It's just very upsetting. Her dad's talked to her. I've talked to her. You know, they just aren't listening. And then in the public face, she's saying, oh my God, we're so excited, you know, because that was what Christy wants to do. She wants to be all things to all people. And so she lies, you know, and
she's always had to portray that perfect mother.
And one of the other things I thought was really interesting in here is that she's talking about the fact that she knows for a fact that he has a bank account set up for their wedding. How do you know that that's for your wedding? Do you know anything about bank accounts? No, you don't. So here's the thing. Like, you thought $5,000 was going to take you through life, you know. Yeah, he has a bank account and he can show that to you and say, hey, look, I've set $10,000 aside for our wedding. You know what you don't know? Tomorrow morning, he can go and take that out for any damn thing he wants. So you don't know.
Well,
and then
can doctor that. You can doctor that piece of paper that says, I've got $1 million in my bank
Right, you
account.
can do that. Not to mention, banks don't work that way. You can take the money out for anything you want, so it doesn't matter. Then on top of that, you know, you can see that she's kind of shallow because she's talking about this, you know, Tiffany
ring.
Which, have you seen the Tiffany ring? Because you know what? Rod and Christy hadn't seen a Tiffany ring, which means to me there isn't a Tiffany ring. He just told you he has a Tiffany ring. And by the way, nobody wants a freaking Tiffany ring as a wedding ring unless you're a millionaire. Because if you have the money to spend on a Tiffany ring, you're spending $30,000-$40,000 to get a nice, pretty Tiffany ring. If you are just a bartender who is working even in a good bar, okay, if you're spending money for a Tiffany ring, it's going to be a very basic blah ring because you do not have $35,000 to spend on a ring.
Well, I think Ken was Gypsy a dream. Like, he probably bought it at like Zales or something, and the sales girl's name was Tiffany.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I mean, he can tell her that all she wants. She doesn't know. And when she gets out, she's already married to him because she can't wear it in prison. So what's going to happen? Oh, well, I'm sorry, babe. You know what? I had to move. And so I sold that Tiffany ring so I could move down here to be closer to you, babe.
But no, then she would throw a pouty fit. Like, oh, babe, but that was my Tiffany ring.
Right. But I mean, it just shows how ridiculously unprepared she is for life, that she believes these things that she has no proof of. Like, you know, because I guarantee you, if Christy had seen a Tiffany ring, she would have been all up in the chats with all of us. Oh my God, I saw the most beautiful ring. He's got it from Tiffany's.
Here's a picture of it.
Yeah. No. Okay, so here's my response. And this is the only other time, mind you, that I have responded to Gypsy through email. And it's a little lengthy. And then she goes on for the next several days and into the next month to continuously keep messaging me with no response. So here is what I wrote back. Gypsy, I am incredibly upset by your and Ken's response to the recent article In Touch did with me and Tori, my co-creator and co-writer on this project. To address your concerns, I feel the best thing is to break this down piece by piece. You asked what the point of the article was. The article was done in response to something that Facebook admin and the Nick supporters did. They released a private statement I made to someone I thought was my friend regarding Ken. First in their horrible group, and then they sent it to him when you're in his pictures that have been out on social media for months hit the media, where I spoke so kindly about all of you. And then they published it on E! News Twitter page and In Touch Twitter page, and God knows where else. The message was taken totally out of context, and I explained and to our sentiments she had shared with me and many others, as well as Ken, and I have the screenshots to prove that. Any parent, any person who cares about you would be concerned by this wedding, Gypsy. It's not what anyone would want for a loved one, especially one who has had so much taken from her already. With all that being said, as per the contract you, Rod, and Christy signed, you are still bound to the series. You agreed to support it and aid in its success. I have not pressed this with you because I completely understand why you have a jaded view of the media and have hoped when all was said and done, you would see I was not like anyone else and that you would be proud of what we all worked on. I don't need to work with you anymore, but I want to. I will continue to support you and your family as I always have. Our team will continue to work night and day to make this project happen and show the world the true story. And when it's all said and done, I know that the bigger picture and greater good of so many will be affected by this project. As stated in my last letter, I am always here for you as a friend and a person to talk to, but calling me names and being hostile, I won't tolerate from you, Ken, or anyone else. I don't deserve it. I have been honest with all of you every second of every day, and so is our team. I wish you and Ken the best. I hope he really does give you an amazing life as you deserve it, but my concerns are valid and will not change. I hope these concerns for your sake and your family's sake are unfounded, but as I stated in the article, even the best of relationships don't have marriages that last. With deepest care, Fancy Maselli. That to both Ken and Christy. And what it was in reference to was the constant bashing, harassment, and bullying that Facebook admin puts me, my team, your mom and dad, Ken, and anyone else who has crossed your path on a daily basis. She has threatened to ruin all of our lives, including Ken and your parents, and that is exactly what she is setting out to do. She has tried to claim that Christy, me, Ken, and the team are all in cahoots and doing things to her every day, and we have done no things to her, not even one, except support you. What I was stating was that I didn't understand why she is constantly harassing and bashing us. And in that statement, I said we didn't like Ken either, and the pictures are strange. That was not in any way indicating that Christy or your dad felt any way about Ken. It was a private message, and I'm allowed to feel that way. And that sentiment about him is shared by many, including Dr. Phil and Nancy Grace, who have made horrible statements about him. I do not know Ken personally. I only can speak on the limited interactions we have had, and they have not been great. I have expressed my concerns to him, you and Christy, on numerous occasions. In fact, I wrote you a very heartfelt letter about my thoughts and concerns for you as someone who cares about you very much. I also had a lengthy conversation with Ken about it at the time too, in which he stated it didn't even matter to him if your parents attended your wedding. It was happening anyway. That statement was never to be out in the public, and it was from a while back. I've done nothing but speak well of Ken in the past. I've tried to be kind and supportive, even though I think there are very real and serious concerns about the relationship's progress. As Tori and I stated in this article, I called this person who I said this to out for saying terrible things about us to that Facebook admin, while simultaneously saying to me how much she was a POS and lowlife, and she then turned and released only that one statement. If it had never gone public on Twitter for hundreds of thousands of people to see, I would never have done anything about it and just continued to ignore that Facebook admin, as I have every day for months. But with it being out there, the last thing any of us wanted was for that to be what the press ran all over with. So Tori and I chose to do an article with a trusted source. The article did not in any way attack or bash Ken. It voiced concerns for the rush to marry while in prison and how unsettling it is for all who care about you, for you to once again have something ripped away from you. We said we didn't feel you could truly appreciate how much you would be missing out on, and that we felt you deserved the right to get your happy ending in the right way, not behind bars. We expressed that we felt you needed to have a chance to just be Gypsy, not Gypsy or Ken's wife. You have no idea the hardships of marriage. You have no idea how much work it is and how it's not fun or pretty more times than it is. All we wanted was to let the public know the message that had been released was not a personal attack on Ken, and that we had no ill feelings towards, and honestly couldn't even speak on him personally, but only on the actual real concerns anyone would have if their child was in your situation. The fact that you and Ken see it as an attack on him is even more concerning. It makes me worry even more. All I have ever done is try and defend you and your family, Gypsy. I have done everything to try and get you an early release, to bring light and goodness to your story, and truth always. Truth, which is what I told your parents they would get from me and our series. We have tried to painstakingly expose Nick for the sadistic sociopath that he is, who has a pattern of preying on girls in horrible situations like yourself. Gypsy, your mom did terrible damage to you. If I didn't care about you or your family, it would not concern me in the least what Ken and you do. I wouldn't care about your image or what is said about the most amazing mother I've ever encountered with such a good heart like Christy. Why has that changed?
Oh, wow.
I have done exactly what Michelle and everyone else did, and I would have walked the hell away and do whatever I wanted. Instead, I have stood firm in telling the whole truth, working with all of you to get the right story out instead of what so many other outlets have bastardized. You are right. I didn't reach out to you after Killer Couples. I felt after my last letter to you, where I poured out my story and the real meaning of all this and got no response, that it was best to let you be and run communications through Christy. I was trying to be respectful. But what I did do is dispute that show. We are in a week-long discussion about Nick right now, trying to highlight the untruths in his story. Are you aware he is telling people you aborted a baby girl? Had your ovary removed, and now people are saying you used that to convince him to murder Dee Dee? I contacted Oxygen, and Dawn is going to do a special with them to try and show that he lied through that whole thing. She wants to show the world the real him and save any other woman out there the pain you both suffered at his hands. I have defended you publicly since the airing. I have worked with media outlets besides Oxygen to get the truth out from Dawn and evidence so that you don't look like what he made you out to be. And I'm trying to ensure that his appeal is never granted while simultaneously lobbying for your early release, while defending your truth and your parents at every step I can. Prison is not a good place for you, and I know you are not getting the severe help you need to undo the damage Dee Dee and Nick and so many others did to you. So again, that article was addressing that was our concern and not some hatred of a guy we don't know a whole lot about. We hope to shed light on how unfair this all is and how your family yet again is being robbed of something by your circumstances, and how we would only wish that you could come out and experience relationship milestones and have a chance to grow on your own before being someone's wife. I care about you beyond belief, Gypsy, and it saddens me that this is how you think of me and the team that puts in countless hours researching and trying to get together your medical file, your history, Nick's sides of things, and not getting paid for any of it for over 2 years now. I have given everything I have to this. I have neglected my family and other projects to ensure this project is done right and help so many more than just you. It's not about fame or fortune. It's about things that can change the world. It's about giving hope to this team, to victims, to platforms that need to be addressed, and to women who need to know they are not alone in whatever story they are living. I have been there for Christy through tears and laughter. I've watched this past 2 months as she has buried 8 people she loved, and I have supported her through it. I have lifted her up when I could. I expressly asked Ken to be angry with me if he wanted, but to let Christy be and grieve, but neither of you did that. You know she has 2 funerals to deal with this week alone, and I believe 2 more coming. But this article was more concerning for Ken and you, and that is upsetting. The things that were attributed to her in the article were one, not exactly as stated. So again, I tried to write her and be, professional, compassionate, explain exactly what had happened and why. And she already knew. I had been in constant contact with Christy. Christy even had told me, oh, she understands why you had to do the article. She's fine with it. And then the very next day I get this fucking letter. So exactly, again, playing both sides of this fence, and Gypsy just flying off the handle when Gypsy wants to,
Well, it shows how professional we are with her.
We tried to be.
And for the 97% of the time.
Right.
And we're still very respectful in our choice of words. Like, we're not calling her a crazy bitch ass cunt.
Right. Like, she literally called me a fucking cunt and I said nothing. I never responded to that. I just chalked it up to she's angry. But she went off about being a loose cannon. I didn't even address any of that. I was like, okay, I'm just going to be professional, explain to her exactly why, what transpired, what happened, and then go from there. And of course, that doesn't go over well. And this next letter that we have, so this one is Gypsy flops back and basically is, talking about how she doesn't want drama. And meanwhile, as she's writing me these letters, she is sending these letters to that Facebook admin and asking her to post them publicly in all of her groups, her pages, everything. But no, she doesn't want media attention. She doesn't want drama, but
she brings these people in.
To all the Facebook people who literally can't stand me or my family or you, and let's go turn to them. So go ahead, Christina, I think, is going to read the next one, guys.
So this email is from July 19th of last year, and it's at 6:05 a.m. And she says, Francesca, I don't like all this drama. This is something that does not need to be squabbled out in the media, but rather preferred to be dealt with in private. I understand where you are coming from. However, I honestly feel you fail to see I'm a 28-year-old woman. And yes, I have had a traumatic past, but you treat me like I'm 15, the same as my mother did. Do you not see I am expressing myself? I am making my own choices for my life. The decision to marry aside, I am finding myself and discovering what I want. When I was a little girl and throughout my teen years and into adulthood, my dream was to be a wife and mother. It's so simple, but for me at the time was an impossible dream, as my mother would never allow that to happen. She flat out told me, you will never get married, you will never have kids. There are some things that you will never do. I do not take kindly to others telling me how I have to live my life. I can respect other people's opinions about me and how they think I should live my life. However, I'm not living for others. I'm done doing that. I make my own choices within reason. Through experience, I live and learn. Friend, family, or stranger, it's okay to have opinions about someone you care about. But what I took offense to is you took it too far by putting our family business into the media spotlight. You did not care how it would harm my relationship. You were trying to clean up your own fuck up when you vented to the wrong person. No one is loyal, as there are always going to be people who love drama and will snitch you out. That I know from experience. But caring about your own image versus how me and my fiance feel is wrong. Your article has now made some people dog him out worse than before, because now they think that we are just playing house and don't grasp the concept of marriage, or he is manipulating me into marriage, when all he has ever done in my life is be my support. The choice to get married was made together. I'm not leading, nor is he. We, yes, we, both want this equally the same. Am I wrong? Is that not how a healthy relationship works? I have no idea why you feel such worrisome concerns. Has he exploited me in any way? Has he been paid for being in a relationship with me? Does he do interviews bragging that he is Gypsy Blanchard, the girl who murdered her mother's fiance? Does he bask in the limelight of being with a well-known murderess? Because if so, I'll leave him and won't give him a second thought. It would break my heart, but I would never belittle my own self to be with someone who would use me so wrongly. But if he has not done any of those things, then you have no valid concerns and should keep your opinions to yourself. It's been 4 years later, and I'm still the talk of the media world, and everyone is still agreeing to do interviews and write TV shows and movies. I do make exceptions with regards to the petition that could actually help me get released. Ken is my only comfort. He listens to the stress and heartbreak in my voice after another TV special airs that I have to be subjected to video and photos of the crime, as well as hearing the gruesome details that was kept from me to protect me from a total mental breakdown. But now I know because it's plastered on TV. He hears the sniffles and cries that I try and hold in but can't. It is Ken that is comforting me through all of it. He knows more about me than anyone is ever going to. The only thing he doesn't know is just how much I love him. You think we haven't been through anything? That's laughable, as every time I have anything good or bad happen, I share with him, and in vice versa. I encourage him to make new goals, and am proud when he achieves them, as he does the same with me. He goes through life drama, and I'll spend 5 hours on the phone. No pee breaks. And though I haven't had many life experiences, I somehow have a way of knowing just what to say and how I say it to get him through the personal issues he faces. When I have drama or I have a question about life in general, he explains it in a way that I don't feel stupid or different because of my upbringing, but rather just as if I learned something new, no big deal. What I'm trying to explain is he has done more for me in 2 years than a therapist could do in 100 years. And that's give me the understanding and compassion that I need and the positivity to keep me sane. I am not a mean woman. I do value my parents' opinion. However, they are not being robbed of an experience with me, a small prison ceremony, in addition to having planned a future wedding ceremony when I am released, so that he and I can still experience all the memorable moments of having a huge wedding celebration with all of our friends and family is not a bad thing. It's just something he and I want. It was decided on purely because this is something we feel is right for us. We are ready to take the next step and make that solid commitment. I do understand what goes into that serious of a commitment. I do have many obstacles to face, but trust and believe Ken is going to be right by my side, being everything I need him to be, and I will do the same for him. There is nothing I can do that I can't do with him as my husband. He wants all the same things I want, plans of travel and a family. We are compatible in every way. Moreover, we have what it takes to at least try to have a successful marriage. We have unconstitutional love. I am sorry if you can't appreciate the beauty in that and cannot see what an amazingly kind, genuine person Ken really is. But please at least respect us and do not speak on my relationship, nor speak for my parents, as I would hope they can be just as genuine to me because family comes first. Ken is now family. Please respect that. Gypsy Rose. Can I just say I like how she says unconstitutional love instead of unconditional?
Unconditional, right. And
there's several things that got to be pointed out.
Of note, this doesn't sound anything like any of the other letters that she writes, nor is it punctuated like the other letters, nor is it capitalized like the other letters. This is much more sophisticated writing than what she normally does.
So 6:05 in the morning.
Well, I've also thought that someone helped her write this.
Yeah.
I don't know if Ken did or another inmate or Christy herself. I don't know. But somebody helped her write this because I don't feel like this is the same that we get from before and going forward from this. So it's not like she's learned some new skills. I do not believe that this is the same person writing this. I think she told somebody something and they wrote this out for her and then she basically like copy and pasted it.
Well, then that she says that, Ken is doing more for her in 2 years than a therapist could do in 10.
Well, in that, at the time period when we got this letter, we also did not know that she had been offered to have a therapist from Greene County all the way through and decided not to do it. We also didn't know that her parents were not encouraging her to get help. They just kept saying, oh, well, she can't get it. She can't get it. She can't get it. Meanwhile, she could have had it the whole time and was offered it. So that was very concerning to us that she was turning down help from a psychiatrist because she didn't feel like she needed it. And she still, to this day, as far as we know, has not gone to anything other than some, life skills classes.
Right. So people think that, oh, she's in jail. She's getting the help she needs. No, she's not.
And she's refusing to get the help that she could be offered.
And this is why I hope the parole board turns her down.
Well, that was why. Well, I don't hope that the parole board turns her down. I'll be honest with you. I've already talked about this kind of. What I'm hoping that they do is grant.
Well, they require it.
Well, I hope that they grant the parole, but that they require that she goes to some sort of mental health facility for the next 2 years. Because otherwise, she gets out after 10 years. She doesn't have to do a damn thing. They can't put any restrictions on her. So I don't want to do that. But at the time, I was still lobbying for her to get out because I felt that it wasn't going to be helpful to her. And, being in prison was only solidifying the fact that she's around people that are not good role models and she's having to survive and she's not getting the help that she needs. And in the meantime, she could have had all of that, granted, she's still in the same crowd that she's with, but, I did not know any of those things. And I had asked and asked and asked and asked. And then I found out from the jailer, it was like, no, she could have gone and she didn't want to. And that was interesting to us, which is when I also began to be questioning Christy about things because if, as a parent, that would have been my very first thing that I would have wanted for her. And also the petition, we talked about the petition. I'm the one who took the petition to the news media. Nobody else had done so. Not Rod, not Christy. They'd never even talked about it. I was the one that said, well, why don't we do this? Then I asked him to do a follow-up as a favor to me about the letters to the governor. That would have never been done if it hadn't been for me and the team. And so I don't feel like they really I don't think that they have any intention of taking the petition to the governor, because I've asked and asked and asked and asked over 3 years, and it's always some excuse, or they don't have enough signatures, or they want to wait till this, and then it never happens.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
So, I mean, there's a lot to be said in this letter, though. What did you want to point out, Colleen? Because I know you said you had some things.
Well, just that she thinks, and right, if somebody else wrote this letter, I don't really know, but if Gypsy had these ideas, that she thinks that they're going to be together, and that he is not there, and he's not parading himself to news media or whatever, and promoting. I mean, she's admitting in this letter that, yeah, she's a murderess.
Right.
But that she thinks that what love is, it's that imagination of what and false reality that she thinks what love is, and what being together will be. And I have to tell, like, from girl to girl, who she's actually like 2 years older than me, but I just did what she had planned to do. I just married my husband in a small private wedding with less than 10 people. And we did it because of what we wanted to do. And we're having a big wedding later this year. And we have it like planned. But so for her, it took a lot of emotion, and still is emotion, to, we did what we did, and we stand by it. But her saying that, doing it in jail is what they want to do now and then have a big wedding later. At least for my small wedding, it was meaningful. We weren't just in, a jail room, a little private room, you were
able
married.
To have a dress. You were able to have friends and family, small friends and family. She couldn't have had anything like that. They wouldn't have let her wear a dress. They would not have allowed more than 6 people there, which means that's 2 parents from each side and 2 extra people. So who isn't going? Because she's got 2 brothers and he's got sisters and brothers. I don't know if he has brothers. I know he has 2 sisters at least.
Wow, they have it pretty good. When I got married in a prison, I was allowed to bring 1 person with me, and he was allowed to choose 1 witness from inside of the prison. Wow.
So, it wasn't going to be even a small intimate wedding with family there,
So, Colleen, you've gotten to live your life. You have a career, you have a life, you have friends, you have family, you have a social life. She's never had any of that other than in prison.
Right. And she would not get to wear the ring. And the fact that she's never been able to be with somebody. She spent all of a week with Nick. Like, being in a relationship is hard. All of us can agree to that. Anybody who's listening, you can agree. Being in a relationship is hard. I've been with Tim for 12 years. Like, it's still hard.
I've been married for 23, and I'm telling you, there's more days that I don't like him than there are days that I like him sometimes. And fairy tale. I love my husband, but this fairy tale that she thinks is going to happen, that was what I've been trying to say the whole time. You just don't know. You don't understand. And sadly, she doesn't want to listen to anybody about it. But the thing is that I think is interesting is this was written in July, and by December they were no more. But they were so in love, and they were getting married in January, and it was all planned, and everything was going to happen, and he was going to move from Washington to Missouri. And now we're at a point where we've heard all kinds of crazy things. There was alleging of cheating and all these, and that was one of the things that I had said to her. I was like, how do you know? You think you're in a monogamous relationship. What do you know about what he is or isn't doing on the outside? You don't. You can believe whatever you want, but he's a good looking guy and he works in a bar. And he's 20 something. Like, are we really believing for 10 years he's going home alone? I don't think so. And maybe he is, but the likelihood of that is, God, slim to none. Come on, let's be realistic.
Well, it's just that he moving across the country and having these ideas and knowing that there are, I mean, the act came out this year. Killer Couples came out this year. So many things about this case came out this year. Like, and then him he brought himself into the media light.
Many times, actually.
And he did it.
He doesn't go to like In Touch or E-News or whatever and speak to them. What he does is he runs into these Facebook groups, writes these long, huge, crazy posts, and incites all this frenzy, and then he bails out. And then the media picks those up because they're not stupid. They follow these groups, and then we're all left holding the bag going, crap, how do we fix that, So
I remember one day I came and I was a little bit late, and I come online and I scrolling through Facebook and I see a comment from him in one of the groups, and it was like a really long comment, and I'm like, oh no. And I messaged Fancy and I'm like, Ken is commenting right now. And she's like, he keeps doing that. I don't know why he doesn't listen when we tell him it's not a good idea. And then 5 minutes later, I go back and look, and it was like 20 something people had responded to him, and he was just gone.
Yeah.
Never came back, never responded. And I was like, okay, so this is his routine. I see now.
And she thinks that he's not getting money right now, but that's not the long game. The long game would be, okay, I'm going to be with you. I'm going to marry you. I'm going to lock you down. Then when you come out, everything is mine.
And everything is his.
And that's why Tori and I told Christy, okay, if she marries him in prison, then we were planning on setting up a trust fund for her, regardless of whether she participated anymore or not. We were going to set up the trust fund. And what happened was we told her, though, I said, Christy, we're going to set up a trust fund, but if she marries him in prison, then she will not get the trust fund until, many, 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 many years from now. And only in small amounts, because I'm not having this guy just run through her fucking money that she deserves. Because at the time, we really believed that she deserved to build a good life. And and I'm not saying she doesn't deserve that. She does deserve to have a decent life, based on the fact of how abused she was. Now, if you think about her being a brutal murderer, no, she doesn't. She deserves to be in prison for that. But when you put it all together, I mean, there's a case for her being out. And if she's out, then she deserves to go forward with her life and put all of this behind her. And we wanted to make sure that happened, and that was one of the other things I talked to her about. I tried to explain to her, the way that you protect your children, the way that you will protect yourself from media and hounding you for the rest of your life, because they will, is to have money. You're going to need to be able to pay people to be your PR and your bodyguards and live in a nice, very gated community, and people that are going to, accept you and be in a place where your parents and everybody can support you. You can't just be a regular citizen, honey. It's not going to happen.
Not ever.
She was like, no, I'll be fine. I'm like, no, you won't. No, you won't. So anyway, I'm going forward. So the next one, it's basically her just saying that she wants me to mail her the contract because she doesn't remember signing it, according to her, which we have the signed copies. And she basically goes on to say that, she doesn't understand how her family could be held responsible because, Christy and I, and then we talked with her and we were like, technically if we wanted to, because she's in breach of contract, we could start like, we could lobby to sue. And I don't want to do that, and we never threatened that. We were just talking with Christy and telling her we could do this. We don't want to do that. So let's see how can we resolve this? Let's let her out of the contract if that's what she wants. We'll still go ahead and set up a trust fund for her through you. She doesn't need to know about that until she comes out. And maybe by then, 4 years will have passed and she'll have a clearer head, So we were trying to put into place what we could for her. And basically, she's like, I'm calling a ceasefire. I love my stepmother, and I don't want them to be I don't want anything to happen to them, which means that Christy immediately ran to her and was like, oh, they're going to sue us, which we never said. We were never like, oh, we're going to sue you. I was just telling her these are the things that could happen. and we were very upfront with her. And so of course, she has to run and tell her this, like, why did she tell her that? There is no reason for Gypsy to know that, especially considering that we were talking about releasing her from the contract. And that the only thing that we wanted was if we released her from the contract that she needed to be, she couldn't say anything else. Like it would be, the NDA would be signed again that says, hey, this is it. I'm not being, yes, I'm being let out of my contract and I don't want it. I'm not going to say anything else. I'm just going to be quiet on the subject. That's all we wanted, because we're trying to build something. But, so that's basically this next letter. And I'm not even going to read it. It's just like a little paragraph. But, she keeps saying something about the squabble and it doesn't need to go any further than us. And if I promise to be respectful to regards to sticking to the no comment in the media about her, then she'll do the same with us. And I'm like, oh, great. Okay. So we're getting somewhere. So this was on 7/21.
She just doesn't know how to get off the computer.
Right. On 7/26, we get a new message where she basically says to me, she wants to speak to the attorney. She is certain that the contract had ended before. And she says that, so I'm blowing smoke up anyone's ass. And then this was really an interesting part. I thought this was really interesting. She says, and if it's Christy who signed for me, no one has power of attorney yet. So you can't do that and legally never could. So that has potential to be forgery. A mom forging documents despite her daughter's ability to have clear and sound comprehensive thought process. ... Wow, how familiar that sounds. So now she's accusing Christy of forging her signature, which no one ever said anything like that. And so, like, that came out of nowhere.
It was honestly an welcomed surprise. Like, maybe she is having some thoughts about who she's in her close circle.
Right.
That's a good thought.
It was so odd. Like, she just talked about how much she loved Christy and blah, blah, blah. And 2 days later, now she's accusing Christy of forging her signature. And I'm like, what the fuck is this?
She goes off the wall.
She goes off the wall. So then I don't respond to that. So on 7/28, 2 days later, I get a it's a 2-sentence duo. It says, I am no longer speaking to you or Christy. Have fun trying to write new articles now without any new updates from me. I told Mom this would happen if y'all persisted. That's it.
Yep. No explanation.
No explanation. So now she doesn't want the contract. She doesn't want to talk to me or Christy. I don't know what in the world. And this is where she was basically telling Christy if she didn't stop talking to me or having a relationship with by proxy, that she was not going to be allowed to come to the wedding. So she starts emotional warfare on Christy, which, and through all of this, I think Christy makes her own bed with running to Gypsy and telling her one thing and telling me something different and doing all the different things. And we do believe that she was working with that Facebook admin long before she ever jumped on that train later. But I mean, like that just to hold that over Christy's head, like, oh, now you're not going to I'm not even going to invite you to the wedding inside prison now because you're doing something I don't like you to do. That is typical warfare Gypsy.
Yeah.
Emotionally warfare. That is what she does. It on and on and on. So
yeah, not surprising anymore.
No, it's not surprising. It's a pattern of behavior.
When she did it with Aaliyah, it was surprising. Now, yeah, it's just a pattern.
Right. And that's not the first time she threw Aaliyah. I mean, that is the interrogation video was the first time she threw Aaliyah under the bus. Then that phone call with me where she basically was like, I don't care about Aaliyah. I was like, wow. Oh, wow. Okay. But I hadn't seen the interrogation video to know that was the second time she threw Aaliyah under a bus, So Colleen, you want to read this next one? So hold on. Let me
let's introduce this.
Hold on, let me say the next one. Okay, so that was the last one we got with her saying she's no longer speaking to me was on 7/28. So in between all of this, we basically have a epic falling out. We no longer speak to her. Tori sent her. I asked Tori to write her a letter so that I did not write her a letter because I knew that I would not be rather brief nor would I be rather nice at this point, responding back to her. After everything she had pulled, she had been sending all these to that Facebook admin. She'd been saying all kinds of crazy crap to the Facebook admin. Meanwhile, that Facebook admin is still calling her a mental retard and, searching for a psycho killer at night. So, I mean, it just was so bizarre. And through all of this, we actually end up falling out with Christy over some really, really horrible, terrible things that happened. I went to California to pitch the show, and things were great. I returned from California, and my daughter was having surgery. She was having fluid taken off her brain, and the morning of that, the contracts. So my daughter was having fluid pulled off her brain. On that day, my contracts were leaked that I gave Christy by this Facebook admin. Then I was accused of forging documents by this Facebook admin and Christy. It got really nasty, and found out just maybe a week or two ago that there were rumors that were circulating that while I was in California, I cheated on my husband and came home with an STD. It was nothing like that. And I didn't know where those rumors came from. I was very hurt and upset and terribly, it was horrible. For weeks, this woman spoke about my lady parts on the internet, like live. She made horrible memes about me, all these different things. Well, we just found out recently that that story came from Christy to her, and we have the screenshots and proof of it. And I've confronted her, and at first she denied it, and then she finally said, well, I don't remember doing it. And then, she was like, well, you upset me by releasing that the interrogation video, so that's what we did. And I couldn't believe that a person who I called my friend had done that to me. And she knew it was all lies. She didn't care. It was all about hurting me personally, not just professionally, not just, oh, well, you don't want to work on your project anymore, because they knew that they didn't have a leg to stand on with that, because they could walk away from the project all they wanted, but we could still make the project because we don't have to have life rights to make the project. The act didn't. None of the other, other shows that have been made had anything. They just made it. But we did that mainly to protect them and be able to make sure that we were going to ensure that we were going to pay them for their time. So it got real nasty. And so the next thing we're going to do here is read this letter. Colleen's going to read it to you guys. It comes from about a month later, and it's about 15 days after everything just completely goes crazy.
Don't go anywhere. The Good Wives will be right back. Every great podcast needs a great website. Currently, our mother company, Mad Ginger Entertainment, is building their website using Bluehost. Bluehost is one of the best and most affordable web hosting platforms available. Plans start as low as $2.95 a month, and you can even integrate it with WordPress. So if you need your own website or affordable web hosting, grab our discount link in the description and get your podcast a bigger presence online at low costs.
Hey guys, it's me, Cajun Mama Ty. And if I sound a little sad today, I kinda am. But, we're moving on to bigger and better things. So today, instead of going and giving you a French word or a word of the day, I decided to share some of my thoughts about the Gypsy case and where I have come over the last year. So, as you all know, I was friends with Dee Dee for many years. I saw Gypsy grow up. I was not active in their life. I just knew things were really odd. And I knew things couldn't be as she was making them seem. But I had no evidence or no way of knowing the truth. I deal with that every day. And actually, that's what brought me to the case. Guilt brought me to the case because I felt guilty when everything happened because I kind of knew that things were not right. And everybody's going to say, oh, you were a mandated reporter and all of this other crap. But you know what? I was not a mandated reporter at that time. I was a person just normal on the street, looking from the outside, but I couldn't see in. As that was how Dee Dee always was. She would keep you on the edge of your seat, letting you know just enough things that you couldn't reach a hand in the cookie jar to get a cookie. That's just how she was. So, along this journey, I've met some wonderful, wonderful people. And if I start to name them all, I'd probably forget somebody and get someone upset. So, ladies, you know who you are. And thank you for all you've done for me over this last year. But, you know, with that being said, you always have a few special people who you want to thank and who you want to encourage. So, Christina, Colleen, and Francesca, Fancy, I'm sorry. I just want to let you guys know you guys have been like sisters to me. And I almost think sometimes I'm like the mother figure in all of this because I'm rather one of the older ones that are on here. So, as 2020 comes to us, as 2020 comes to us, it's going to be bright beginnings for the Good Wives. It's going to be new cases, new research, new everything. But I want to let you know that the most important thing was that it was this case, the Gypsy case, that brought us together. I am proud to be part of this team. And most of all, I just want to say thank you, Francesca, for allowing me to be part of it. So, as I close out with a heavy heart, the one thing I want to say is this. If you love this case, if you followed this case from beginning to end, and you think you know it all, you probably don't, because we will never know it all. But say a prayer, as my prayer is this. Rest in peace, Dee Dee. I hope and pray that one day you can be forgiven by all for the things that you have done.
So on August 14th at 6:48 p.m., she sends, Francesca, I have not sent you any correspondence in a month or so. I cannot express just how much better my life is without your participation with the Blanchard family, nor with the Petrie family. Now that we are no longer held by your contract, I want to let you know, woman to woman, I know your dirty little secret. I also have been told about your posting on social media. How fucking dare you post a picture of my dead mother's body on social media? That is a low blow. That is just despicable. You have no class or decency about your character.
You have done nothing but talk shit about us since we chose to leave your by proxy project. You claim to have cared so much about my family and I. You are the picture of pathetic, low-life, money-hungry, fame-seeking nobody to have taken advantage of me and my family for your own personal gain. You have done interviews claiming that you are an established writer, but you have no credits to back that up, nor do you conduct yourself in a professional manner. I may be a murderer, but who some like, I may be a murderer who some like, some hate, some are neutral, but bitch, everyone hates you internet-wide, and you did that to yourself. You took advantage of my situation. You sold Christy and my father a dream by promising them a set financial future for me. But instead of working on a project that helps bring awareness to Munchausen by proxy and secure my stability or do anything to benefit me or my family, you paraded me as your show pony, making random unrelated interviews on my personal and private life. You didn't see us as people, you saw celebrities. In your mind, you saw your name on the big screen. And now that we no longer have any involvement with you, that is why you are behaving in such an unprofessional way. My proxy series was made up of volunteers with you, a self-proclaimed writer, as their head, who are not established in the entertainment industry, nor did they have the professional training or experience in the roles they signed to. Side note, I totally do. You had everyone sign bullshit contracts that legally was void 2 years ago. Also impossible. Then threatened me and Christy with a lawsuit for my emails, voicing my dislike of you and your involvement with me and my family, claiming I breached contract and tried to scare tactic me to force to write a retraction to said emails, which I would rather eat shit than take back my very honest opinions. Then tried to make the public believe that I was unstable and incompetent due to my past abuse. I can assure you I am very well off for what my past suggests I should be. I should be curled up in the fetal position, eating my own hair, rocking back and forth, but I'm not. I am coping with my past. I have deep-rooted issues that no one can see, but I have come a long way in the last 4 years, as made evident by my nearly completed high school education and many mental and emotional classes taken while at DOC. In addition to many arguments between us, you almost destroyed my relationship with Christy. I gave her the option to either lose a relationship with me or continue on your project because I wanted nothing to do with the unjust way you were using us, and she chose her family. I told you, family comes first. Now you have nothing to make your series a reality. My mother's side, the Petrie family, nor my father's side, the Blanchard family, will be aiding you in your project, and believe me when I say, after we are done with your no-name, no production company will ever look at you with truth and honesty. Gypsy Blanchard. Can I read the next one?
Yeah, but let's talk about this one first.
Okay. The next one's my favorite.
So,
I still can't believe she considers herself a celebrity.
Yeah, she really does.
And that I treated her that way. I didn't ever treat her that way at all. Like, at all. Christy was my friend. I did mostly what she asked me to do in the media. She acts like I went all over the place. I talked to 2 news sources and then the local paper in Springfield. Everything else was like things that they took from a news source, and just like put it all out there everywhere. And most of the time I spoke only on our project and the differences and discrepancies in like what was going on in, the act and those different things. I tried really hard to stick to that stuff most of the time. Anytime we talked about something personal was in response to something that generally it was because of the stupid Facebook admin who was causing all these problems. And so Christy and I had to figure out how to like fix those things. But I mean, this one, so mind you, it's been forever since we released them all. But here's the thing that people didn't know. We were still, even after all the stuff with Christy happened and we kind of went sour, we were still trying to build my friendship. And we also were still trying to, in some way, work out a deal that they would still get paid. That was between me and Christy. We weren't going to tell anyone else. They didn't have to do anything. I was just trying to still honor my commitment that I made to them when I first went down there all by myself, and told them that I would do what I was going to do, you know. Meanwhile, Christy is releasing pictures and telling, releasing medical documents and all these things to this woman who, by all accounts, all she wants to do is destroy them. And it was mind-boggling, and it would drive me absolutely mad, but we were still trying somehow to be honorable. And, obviously Christy's telling her, I'm not talking to her anymore. Meanwhile, she's calling me all the time. We're always talking. The day that the story came out about the first breakup between her and Ken, I was actually on the phone with Christy when that broke, because I had gotten a phone call that morning asking about it, and I said no comment, and I called her and I said, hey, do you know this is happening? She goes, yeah. And as I was sitting on the phone with her is when she did the interview with TMZ, texting them the answers to their questions. So Gypsy thinks that she's not speaking to me. No, she was speaking to me the whole time. So that's how dirty Christy plays, and how important it was to Christy to tell a story that she wanted told. And basically, all of this really, the unraveling of the whole big thing really started when we released the interrogation video.
100%.
And then also we released, the picture that she's talking about, her dead mother's naked body, is actually, it was a screenshot of the back of her mother's hip where there's a V that we have put out before, and this other woman put out too, because Christy gave it to her. And so we were not showing lewd, full on naked bodies like that. And these are crime scene photos, and they're crime scene photos that were public knowledge, most of them. The V one was one that we had that was given to us by the family, but at some point in time, they knew these photos were going to come out. That was the whole point of giving me these things, so that I could make the series that we were working on, So I think, honestly, we've talked about this repeatedly, was that interrogation video, they didn't want it out there. And when that came out, they just started acting completely terrible. Gypsy had already been horrible, but we were still maintaining it with Christy in some way and still helping us, In fact, the day that she leaked her contract and started all of this, she was on the phone with me that morning. She had wished my daughter, well. She was messaging my daughter, telling her, I'm praying for you for your surgery. Meanwhile, she's literally trying to sabotage me in the media and in the public eye, while messaging my child,
it's the many shades of everyone in this story.
And the thing is I never wanted to release these. I wasn't going to ever release them. In fact, the whole time it happened, we never said anything. We just kept right on as if nothing was happening. But obviously they've been released. So I figured that at least if they're going to be out there, that we have the right to explain them and show the other side of what was said back and how professional we did try to be, and that we were really just, all we wanted to do was make a series. That's all we wanted to do this whole time. And in this, she talks about she should be rocking back and forth in a corner after what's happened to her. Gypsy, you're not okay. I don't care how much you're going to sit here and tell me you're okay. You are not okay.
Right, because clearly these thoughts have been going on in her head.
Right.
It's not that's the clinical picture of somebody who's dealt with Munchausen by proxy.
And the funny thing about this is with her telling me that the Petrie family isn't working with me, the way that I found out about this specific letter, because we had removed ourselves from anything to do with any of that drama and that craziness. We were trying so very hard to just turn a corner and move on, no matter what was said, was that one of the Petrie family is the one who contacted me and said, hey, did you know this was out there? Because I talk to them all the time, and she's on my Facebook to this day. And so it was really funny because she goes, oh, and what Petrie family isn't speaking to you? Because I sure am, it was just really funny because, and you can see this was a malicious attack. First we're gonna leak documents, and we're going to, try and make a whole thing about you forging something. Then we're going to go ahead and we're going to talk about your personal sexual life with your husband that was untrue, that we knew was untrue, but we're still going to do it. And we're going to let this woman just drag you through the mud for months on end. This was 9-10 months that we went through this, and it's still going on today. No matter what we do, it still is continuing. So, and then this last statement where when we're done with you, no production company is going to ever look at you. And that was their whole goal, was to ensure that this never got out. So when we decided to do the podcast, we threw a fucking monkey wrench in that, because I was like, I'll be damned. This series.
We're doing something.
I don't want to make the series anymore. Like, our whole team has talked about it. We don't even care about making the series because we're so tired. We're angry and we're tired and we're hurt, and it's just been exhausting. But I still feel the series about Munchausen by proxy needs to be made.
Right, we're going to continue on with our Moms Who Killed.
Right.
And
Lacey Spears, but is this the story to tell it?
No.
It's
100%. And I honestly, that's why I had to give my 2 cents while reading this, for her to say that, you have no experience, but that also all of us who have volunteered our time to work on the case for her have no experience. Like, bitch, we have never talked. You don't know who I am, but I have spent countless days for months on end working to help you and get the right image out for you. And I have medical training. I'm not just, I'm not knocking CNAs or personal care workers, but I am a nurse. I'm soon to be nurse practitioner. I teach nursing. Like, I'm not
Tanya has 28 years in the nursing field. Jessica and Chelsea both have lots of experience in the nursing field. Diana is she is got a degree in psychology. So did Amanda.
Right, we've got social workers. We've got criminologists. Criminologists. Yeah. Like, we've got
I've spoke with DAs about this case to ask them questions about, legal things. I spoke with lawyers that were my friends. I called them up and said, hey, can I pick your brain on this? One of them was a expert in medical fraud. And I called and personally asked him if he would be willing to help the Blanchards lobby some sort of case against these doctors, and nothing ever came of that. They never contacted him. They never went through with it. I mean, we spent countless hours and time putting this all together. We argued with, medical professionals, and we argued with doctors' offices and hospitals to get all the records for her, because they didn't want to give them to anybody. Even with the signed documents, it wasn't that they didn't want to give them to her. They didn't want to be culpable. So we had to fight. And we even called in an advocate for that, like, that's on the board of directors for different things in the medical profession, to go ahead and help us decide how we were going to draft different letters. We did not just, fuck around here. And she tries to say, I didn't have a career. I didn't have anything. Well, I left the industry for 20 years to raise my family. And I never hid that. I never made myself out to be some big thing. Michelle Dean didn't have writing credits before this either. She wrote an article for BuzzFeed, and I have writing credits. Have I written a blockbuster movie? No. But if that were the case, then this wouldn't have gone down the way it was, and they would have never been given a truthful story. Because the whole point, when I went down there, the first thing I said to them was, look, I don't have a ton of money to offer you. I can't promise you that it's ever going to get made. I can't do any of those things. But if you want somebody who's going to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth, and really bring light and goodness to this story, because that's what I thought I was going to be able to do, because I believed in this story and what I had seen, I told them that, what they had was truth and honesty for me. And that was it. And that's all I've ever done.
Well, it's just that we have so much experience. We've done so much actually doing stuff, and a lot of it behind the scenes, because we don't have to publicly show that we did something or called somebody XYZ, because there had been so many of us working on things at a time. Like, we all had to-do lists that we were actually getting accomplished, and uploading records and being very organized and responsible, working for the production team. And
we were called out for that over and over again, that we wouldn't show proof. Well, why would I show proof? I'm making a series. I'm not going to put this out there until it's ready.
Just like how detectives won't give out records when a case is not sealed.
Right.
And we are an established group. We are not unemployed stay-at-home people who follow internet people.
Right.
We have actual credentials.
We do. And we have, and the other thing is they had no idea who I had partnered with or had been talking with. I didn't even tell Christy all of that. They don't know who all my producing partners are or what their credentials were, because we weren't putting that out there. You don't put that out there until you're done. And I've had to go to my producing partners and to the agency that was representing us and tell them, I'm not sure I want to do this anymore. Like, and they've asked me, well, what do you want to do? And I said, well, I'm thinking about taking it in a different direction. I'm thinking about doing a different case, a case that really represents Munchausen by proxy, because I don't feel like anything has been really, really well represented in this realm,
No.
And so that's one of the things, like, so I chose, I came to the team and I said, look, I don't know if the series is ever going to get made after everything that's gone on. And it's not like the drama is not the thing. It's the heart is not there anymore. The drive is not there. I came home from California. I was very, very excited. I was pumped up. We had a lot of pitch meetings. Things had gone really well. We had secured an agent. And then within a month, I was like, fuck this, because of all the horrible things that happened and continue to keep happening. And every day there's something new. Like, I would have never guessed that information about my personal life that was complete lies would have come from Christy. I thought it came from somebody else, and I was mortified when I found out that it came from Christy, especially knowing that I had been just talking to her like a week before, still trying to somehow, we had been talking about this podcast and her being a guest on the podcast. And of course she would say, yeah, I'm going to do it. And then the day of, we would get some sort of cockamamie fucking excuse and she wouldn't do it. Well, now I know why, and we were still not going to do all of this when we did the podcast. We were just going to go up until, the facts of the murder and wrap it up and be done. But then we felt like, oh my God, we've really got to, we really have to come out with all of this. And the podcast was the only way for us to really decide that we could finish this project in some way.
Whether I had to pull you all by your hair to get here.
Yeah, there's many days I said, Colleen, I don't want to do it anymore. And she's like, no, we're finishing this.
We're doing it. We got to do it.
This has been,
we have to.
My family has been jeopardized by this. My relationship with my family, my husband, my kids, I was consumed by all of this because I was working so hard to get something that I believed in done, and not for my own, like, I'm not going to become a millionaire off of a freaking one series. Like, that's not going to happen. I wasn't going to get some huge payday. And a lot of that payday, when the original contract was signed, the original parameters that we were working under was that all the money that was going to be given to the Blanchards and Gypsy was coming from my pocket, not the team's pocket, not from Tori's pocket, not from the rest of the production company's pocket, my pocket. I was going to pay them a percentage of what I was going to get paid, because that was all I could offer them at the time, because I didn't know what money there would be. Now if there had been money for the story rights or anything like that, I was going to give them that too, on top of what I was already giving them from my own pocket. So, and then we began to start working a different deal where, I would give them part, and the producers would give part, and we would give them all the life rights. We wanted to redo the contract, but that was after all of this falling out. And then we were still trying to figure this out.
Right. We always tried to get it resolved. And it was a lot of, we need to be the bigger person. We should be the bigger person.
Right.
But then she keeps firing these emails, more rumors keep getting spread.
Right. And there is, somebody had said, now there's been all kinds of different numbers thrown out there as to what I turned down. Early on, I turned down an offer for quite a substantial amount. It was not $1 million. It was less than that, but it was substantial. And the reasoning being was not because I was trying to be a tyrant and keep control, was because I had promised this family that it would be told the right way and only the truth. And if I just sold it off and gave it to someone else, then I had no control over the truth that was told. and it would have ended up just like another act. And so I didn't want to do that. So I turned it down. I could have literally walked away, gotten a payday, walked away, handed them money and said, fuck it, I'm done. Long before all of this, that I went through, it would have saved myself 3 years of my life. It still would have made a name for myself because my name still would have been on there as a creator, and I would have been on to another project and doing whatever the hell I wanted instead of being dragged through the mud for the last year. And beyond, so
yeah.
Christina, what do you have to say? I know this has been emotionally hard for you as well.
Yeah, it's been difficult. Up until recently when we found out about Christy being the one that was going behind our backs, I had just been texting with her. So it kind of like hit me like, wow, and I have a lot of those days where I just don't want to continue with this. Like, we've put so much into it, and that's the reason why I'm still here with it. But after everything we've been through, I just can't wait to move on to other things and other cases and leave this behind us. It's just been an emotional roller coaster.
Yeah, it has. And, I think that the podcast was the best thing that we could do for this series. I think we've given you a lot to think about. Like we said, we will do updates from time to time, but, we really kind of want to put this all behind us and move on to different things. Not just true crime, but there's other things that we have on the horizon from our company as well. But our main focus is true crime in the company. And I think there's a lot of things that we are working on that are going to be really great and will be all the things that we had originally hoped this to be. I can say, though, that I want to thank these two women here on this podcast with me today. Many people have come and gone from the team that I thought were good people I trusted, people I loved, people I gave my heart and soul to and poured out a lot about my life. But these two women have been here with me, and I wasn't always sure about them. And I'm so glad that we were the ones that were left remaining. I'm really thankful for the team that we have right now. I am thankful for Jade and Marie and Colleen and Christina and Jessica and Chelsea and Titania. Am I forgetting anybody? Lauren, her little Lauren, and I'm thankful for those that came and left, even though it's maybe not always been the best. And Diana, I'm so sorry. Diana, oh my God, Diana.
And Tori.
And Tori, which Tori, I even through all of this, Tori was going through horrible medical trials and tribulations, and she was trying to be there as my best friend, because Tori is my best friend outside of all of this. We've been friends for years, and she was trying to support me and give me support and help me. And Heather is my best friend from years and years and years and years and years and years. I mean, I've known her since we were little kids, and they were both going through so much in their own personal lives, trying to help and be good partners to me and help me. And it destroyed all of that for us, and it was, yeah, we're still friends. We're very close and they still are with us. But it was damn near a breaking point for every single one of us in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
I remember it was a few months ago. It was like the middle of the night, and you called me, and I'm like, oh my God, what? Who died? Like, you don't get calls at 2:15 in the morning, and
right,
my time, which is 3:15 your time.
Yeah.
But Tim was like, who's calling? Is it your boss? And I'm like, yeah, it's Fancy. I just, hold on. Shh. And then having a conversation with you for like an hour and a half in the middle of the night.
And you weren't even a partner at that time.
No, I'm just a friend.
You were just a friend, and I needed somebody to talk to, because I spent many a night up like that, just bawling and trying to figure out how to fix things and help this project get made and done, and how can we do this and how can we do that. And people, just drug all of us through the mud for it. And it just, And to find out that it was coming from the inside as a person that I'm trying to supposedly be helping was absolutely crushing, you know, and it makes it seem to me that all of this happened, like, I don't know. The people that they are the people that they are. And that is why this story happened the way it did.
Yes.
It's not just Gypsy, and it's not just Nick, and it's not just Christy, and it's not just Dee Dee. They all played a part in this sick story and continue to play a crazy part in this weird, crazy ass, really strange story. But I think that we've done a really good job of giving you guys a solid understanding of everything. I want to leave you with the funniest email from Gypsy. This came about because there was a rumor circulating from a friend of Gypsy who had been romantically involved with her before. And he made a comment about telling Gypsy that she should pose for the Playboy Mansion, you know, the Playboy magazine. And we did a short video on our YouTube channel when we were first getting it started. And a lot of the things was as we were talking about how terrible all the rumors were. And so we included that rumor and said, so these are rumors that are out there on the internet, and this is not what we are about. And we're so appalled by all these that we wanted to make sure that we started telling more of the truth out there in the public eye than what we had just done, you know, in private, getting the series ready, because we wanted to make, we were tired of all of the just crazy ass shit that was being said. And we got back this email. Now, mind you, we haven't heard from her since the last time she said she was going to destroy me. And then a month before that, you know, she had been asking to try and reconcile this with us. And now we get this. And Colleen, you can do the honors.
Yay. Hi, darling. Heard the new rumor. Aw, how sweet of you to say I'm Playboy material. But sad to say that no call from the Playboy Mansion has come for me. But I'm flattered by y'all think I'm beautiful enough with my C-cup breasts, big ass, and hourglass figure hidden in prison khakis. Better luck next time at the cheap shots, hon. Sticks and stones, smiley face. Kiss my big, sexy southern ass. XOXO.
And that shows how much she's grown as a woman in the time that she's been in prison, guys. I mean, if we
gotta
can't
kiss her southern ass.
Yeah, and she's got big boobs, and she thinks mighty high of herself, you know, that she looks amazing in prison khakis. You know, like, it just, that sums up, like, how ludicrous all this shit is.
Right, it shows her maturity level at 28 years old. She's older than I am, but has the jokes and material of an actual 13-year-old.
And somebody had to tell her that that had been said, that it was I that said it at some point, and they had to tell her completely out of context how it was said. And of course, at this time, I sent that to Christy, and I was like, what in the ever-loving fuck is this? And she's like, oh my God, I am so sorry. I don't know. I'll talk to her. That was always her answer. I don't know. I'll talk to her. And then, you know, it would come back, and this was constantly like a game of phone tag. You know, I mean, like when we start off, I feel like this whole thing, everything in this case could be summed up as a game of telephone, because nothing is what it was when it started anywhere. And so it's like it goes through different channels of this person tells this person something, tells this person something, tells this person something, including the doctors. And it just keeps going. And this telephone game, it just, at the end, what we end up with is just complete rubbish.
Everybody lies.
Everybody lies. Everybody lies. And we thank you guys for tuning in. I know it's been a wild ride with us. I'm sure you still have questions. We will still be happy to answer those. If there are other cases that you would like for us to cover, you know, we've asked that you send them in to us through email or leave us a message. You can also find us on all the socials. We've told you that over and over again, but we thank you for listening. We hope that you have come away with some better understanding of this case, this family, these doctors, this absolute fuckery that is this case. And we hope that you'll continue to come back for season 2. We're going to take a short break. We need it. We'll come back, and in a couple of weeks, we're going to be doing one episode probably on the Michael Alec Angel case from the 80s or 90s, Christina?
90s.
90s. Yeah, Michael Alec, which is Party Monster. We're going to do, I know, Scott Peterson. We're going to do Rodney Reed. We are going to do Lacey Spears. We've got a lot of stuff going on. In addition to the podcast, we're also going to be doing a weekly radio show. So look out for that. And then we also have Colleen and I do a weekly update on current cases, missing person cases, all kinds of different things on our YouTube channel, which is Murder by Design. So we hope that you will continue to tune in with us. Thanks for the ride.
Thanks for the ride, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for tuning in and dishing true crime with the Good Wives.
Don't forget to join our Patreon member club to get the full recipe shared tonight, inside documents and pictures from the case, bonus mini podcast episodes, live YouTube discussion, and an exclusive invitation to our discussion group on Facebook, and get some amazing Good Wives merch.
Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at True Crime Wives. And for more inside information, check us out on YouTube at Murder by Design, where we're currently talking about a few different true crime cases, from bullying murders to serial killers. We dish it all.
Have a good one from the Good Wives, serving up true crime, one dish at a time.